officers, and they all came, and then like only like 10% of them stayed. I don't think a lot of them like were expecting it to be as hardcore as it was.
Oh, really?
Well, because people like, I think when they hear the word jiu-jitsu, they think something like karate or something like, because it is a Japanese root, right? Even if they hear Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they're still going to think something like kicking or like striking or something. And then when it comes to grappling, people don't understand, like it takes a long time to understand what grappling like specifically is. Like I think on the minimum it's like at most for other martial arts it's like maybe 5 years to get a black belt, but for jiu-jitsu on the average it's like 10. And I've been doing it since I was 15, and now I'll be like, I'll be 25 next year because I'll be 24 this year. And it's like, dude, like I'm still a purple belt, and I've been doing it. Hopefully I get my black belt soon, but it's like, or maybe my brown belt, but it's a lot of work.
Dude, so you've been doing jiu-jitsu with Junior since you were 15?
No, I've been doing jiu-jitsu at a whole bunch of, it started at Southern Idaho Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is now Alliance. Yeah.
Oh, you started there?
Yeah. And then I was there when it turned into Alliance.
In gi, full gi?
Yeah. And then, I left there, and then I started training with Junior. And then that's actually what the funny thing is that he left because he was here on a work visa or something, and his work shut down. So they made him move because he's from Brazil, which is legit. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's legit, and he's big too. Yeah. So,
he felt so good.
Yeah, he is good, dude.
So difficult, so impossible.
Yeah, scary. Yeah. Then he's funny because he's so like friendly. If you just see him walking down the street, you'd be like, hey, you feel like you'd ask him for like a cigarette or something.
Yeah.
But no, is that like, he left, so he's like, hey, I need someone to teach. And then Jason's like, hey, we need someone to teach. We don't want the program to die. Can you teach? And I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. So I was like, sure. So then that's what I did. And then now he's finally back. I was head coach for like 3 years. And then he's finally back. And then... and
what belt were you when you went into
I was a blue belt for about 4 years by that point.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I kind of wanted my purple, but I guess if you trust me to teach and then people trust me to teach, then I'll teach even as a blue belt. And then
Have you ever taught before?
Yeah, I taught a lot of kids classes, and I never taught adult classes, but I taught a lot of kids classes, and I would work a lot with the kids at the other gym. And then my senior project, I did a thing where I combined wrestling with jiu-jitsu so I could help the kids kind of like have a good base. That was my senior project, so I can combine the wrestling with jiu-jitsu so they, so they wouldn't get beat up by...
They won't get submitted.
Yeah, so they could like submit and also like be strong and have that strong base and everything. So that was my senior project. But and then I was just there for years and taught for like 3 years. And then actually when I was training for my fight, Brendan Hempelman is the one who promoted me to purple. So, and I was like, sweet. Yeah. And it wasn't like a big, like I was waiting. He's a brown belt, but when you're a brown belt over like 6 years, and he's been one for like 7 or 8, that you can promote to purple. And he was like, he's like, I promote you to brown, but I can't.
That's what it is. It's a time, because there's like isn't there like a freaking jiu-jitsu federation or something?
Yeah, there's like rules like spread out for Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Who's in charge of that?
I have no idea. I think it's an IBJJF thing, International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
For like the highest competition of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and I think that's the official rule set. Like if you're going to promote them, let's say if you're at a school and you're a high ranked brown belt and there's no black belt, you can promote at least up into purple. Yeah. And it was funny because for years I wanted that purple belt so bad, and I was just like, I feel like I want it, but I never just was able to get it because of the situations I was in. But then when I finally got it, there's no ceremony or anything. I come in, I'm achy because I'm training for my first MMA fight, and then Brendan, he just pulls it out, throws it at me. I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, you've earned it. Okay, let's train. And then that was it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even have a gi on me. I was just training an MMA like workout stuff. It was a normal t-shirt and fight shorts. And then he just throws it at me, and it was still in its package. I was like, oh, thanks. And he's like, yeah. And then we just trained.
Yeah, we were talking about belts the other day, and I used to think, because I'm like, I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu, and I've like rolled with like random blue belt dudes before, and I'm like fortunate I'm pretty big, so I can rely on a lot of strength and stuff sometimes. But the other white belts that I run into, they feel like little fishes. You know what I mean? Like they don't feel that good. And I always felt better thinking like, I'd rather have people underestimate me when I just tell them I'm a white belt, and then I can actually kind of do some grappling than to be like, going around telling everyone I'm a blue belt and then everyone being disappointed that I'm not as good as they expected.
No, it's a thing. That was pretty much my whole life because I was a blue belt, and blue belts are usually not head coaches. And then people would like, oh, and then I would roll with them, and I was a blue belt. I competed in it was my weight class, so it was an open weight. I'm not personally a big fan of wanting to compete in open weight. Like I'll do it, but I think a lot of the time smaller guys like myself will do that just to see how far they can get rather than actually trying to win it, which sucks when there's like an open weight class thing. Cause usually it's like a pretty fit, not huge, but like maybe like a 6 foot, at least black belt or 5'11". That's pretty jacked. black belt going against like those huge, like 300, like 6'4", like 300, 400 pound guys. Cause then they're big enough to at least handle it and they're strong enough. But like I'm 5'9", 170. So it's just like, yeah, I won't do that, but I will compete against black belts in like advanced no-gi. Cause then they're my size and I'm still competing and challenging myself, especially because I was the head coach. I'm like, I better put my money where my mouth is and at least compete against these black belts if I'm not, even if I am not one.
Yeah.
And I was able to place and I was able to beat 1, maybe 2 brown belt, black belt when I was a blue belt. Yeah, I was 20. And it was like, he beat me, he threw me around for a little bit because he was older, black belt. Yeah. And I was only 20, threw me around. It was like, the score was like 4-8 by that point. And then when we went against each other second time, and it was like for 3rd and 4th place, I got him 19-0, but I really had to pull it out of my ass.
19-0,
yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, no, and he got nothing, and I was just
like,
basically...
Is it like wrestling, like takedowns?
Yeah, I think they can tech, but I think it's like 20-0, but I don't know if that's judo or not, but I haven't competed in a long time, but I was close. That's the reason I got on the podium, was because I got the highest score in the whole bracket that I was in, and then I was able to beat him, but not easy. And I remember he was like, yo, that was so good. I don't know.
What'd you get him with?
It was just points. I just kept like taking his back, and then I'd actually like combine some of the wrestling in it, and I'd put like a half Nelson in, right? And then I'd use that when he turned into me, I'd use that to crawl up on top, and I'd also hook my, other hook around him, and I'd use it to crawl on top. And I was basically just circling and like going in circles back, and then full mount, back, full mount, and I kept getting. And then if you stay those for 4 seconds, you get 4 points every time.
Oh shit! You were just going freestyle wrestling on
basically, yeah. And then he would try to put me in a submission or something, and I'm like, well, this guy's definitely not as strong as Junior, and he's not as strong as other people that I rolled with. So I was like, I can withstand like the leg locks because I know how to defend it as long as I don't get caught. And I just basically was trying to be defensive the whole time with jiu-jitsu, wrestling and jiu-jitsu scattered in. And that's when I realized I'm like, combining wrestling with jiu-jitsu is probably the best thing, because then you have 2 things to play on, not just one.
I always hated leg locks because when I was training jiu-jitsu at 10th Planet, they wouldn't teach, I think, below purple belts leg locks.
Really?
Like you had to get purple belt and above, and they would start doing leg lock like classes and stuff, the advanced class. And we would do open mats every Friday. And I would go roll with people. And at the end of every jiu-jitsu class, we roll. Mm-hmm. And I was in the fundamentals class. And I would go in there, start rolling with some advanced people. And they would go for leg locks. But it was against the rules for lower belts to do leg locks.
So they could do it on you, but you couldn't try it on...
That's what I hated, dude. I was like, you get to just get me whenever I'm in this. But I don't... It's unfair because you get to do it. Because if I tried it, you guys would make me stop. Because it's the potential of I don't know how to do it very well. So I'll like break someone's ankle or something, or toe or whatever the hell, knee.
Yeah, but they could still break yours.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's why I grew a distaste for. I'm like, it's so bullshit. I don't like those.
Especially because like if you go in, even if they're not trying to tear your shit up, right? And they put you in something and you don't know which way to roll, and you just out of desperation try to roll the wrong way.
Oh, you're right.
You tear your own shit. So that's still like, I still wouldn't. I don't even like. I don't do it unless like I'm training someone for a fight and a straight leg lock is legal. And I'm like, hey, you need to, if you're going against a jiu-jitsu guy or just someone who's pretty good at submissions, you should prepare for this because they might try this if they get into this position. Or if it's like someone that I trust that's like been there for a long time, I'll teach you a leg lock, I'll teach you an ankle lock, but like I'm like, don't do it. Like I wouldn't do it on like a white belt or anything like that. Don't do it on someone who doesn't know what they're doing because they're super dangerous. And especially with like legs too. I don't know what it is about the nerve endings, or maybe it's just because we're not quadrupeds, right? We're bipedal, so we don't walk. But like our arms, we can feel when something's hurt a lot more because we don't walk on them all day, right? But our legs, they hold up our body all day. So it's like when something, like you can't really feel like the pressure because we feel pressure all day, right? On our legs. Okay. So it's like when something's twisting and you feel something hurt, chances are something's torn. It's not like your arm when you're like, oh, it hurts. And then you tap because you're like, well, your arm's not used to being bent like that, but your leg is used to having weird pressure on it all the time. So it's like when something finally, that's probably a tear. So it's like most people don't even know when to tap. I always say tap when you feel a little bit of pressure, because then that's when you know that something's being pulled on.
Yeah,
don't
you
tap
need to
when
know
you feel
the submission.
Pain. Exactly. I'm like, don't tap when you feel pain in like your knee, because if you feel pain in your knee, you might have torn something.
Because like if you were in a rear naked choke, the thing about consciousness, we all know when we're kind of going unconscious. But if you, let's say you're in it and you didn't know that you were going to go unconscious, you could argue, I'm still conscious this whole time. Like, I'm like, God, now I'm not.
It actually happened. There was this girl, a friend of ours, that of me and Eric. She was in the army, so she learned some stuff, but I don't think she knew. And then Eric was like, she was like, oh, I could get out of that. And it was an arm in triangle, right? Like the Islam, what Islam did to Oliveira. And then he was like, okay. And then she tried getting out. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then like her face was so red. And I was like, okay, lay down. Like your blood isn't in your face, is like gone from your head. And then she wouldn't listen. I was like, like laid down, and I grabbed her legs and like let her blood go back to her head. And she's like, I could still breathe though. I'm like, no, you couldn't. I'm like, and that's more of like a carotid thing.
That doesn't sound like she was unconscious though.
She was like about to, like her face was so red, her eyes were bloodshot. And I was like, no, you were about to go out. Like that's when she's like, okay. And then she was like, all looking around all dazed and everything. I'm like, yeah. I told her, I'm like, you were about to. She's like, but I could still like breathe. And I was like, well, even if you could like get some air in, it's different from like your blood going to your brain. And I'm like, and what he was doing is he was attacking the carotids right here on the side, not your esophagus.
Yeah, so, that's always the beginner mistake when people go, I'm breathing as long as I can breathe. But you can't talk. When you're getting carotid artery choke, I don't think you can even talk. I don't even think you can actually breathe either.
Yeah, no, she was like, he wasn't putting enough, but it was like enough where it was like, it was hurting. Like, I think if she stayed there and he just sat there, I think eventually it would have just been enough to just kind of make her like, maybe go out for like just a second. But like, again, when we looked at her, her face was super red. Her eyes were bloodshot. It looked like she was about to like she was getting strangled.
Yeah. How have you been choked unconscious?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It was, I forgot what I was doing. Like I forgot where I was. I forgot what I was doing.
You wake up and go, huh? What?
It's such a weird feeling. Like he went, are you okay? And I was like,
what are you guys looking at?
I just went, yeah.
What happened?
Like I was like, where am I? Forgot. It's just weird because it's like, you don't even, it's like.
Feels like it was like this.
It feels like time just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, you're just kind of confused of what
Waking
happened.
Up in the morning.
Yeah. Cause then
did time pass?
Like the biology behind it is your brain literally just stops blood for a second. So you just don't know where you are. Like all the blood goes away from your brain depending on what, like, so it's just like, where am I?
So where was your spirit during that time?
I don't even know, man.
Are you in limbo?
Like, I was just kind of like, what happened? Like pretty much like I just forgot what I was doing that day.
Do you think consciousness can exist in an unconscious state?
I think so.
Really?
I think so. Depending, I just think it's how close you are to like death in my, or how close you are into like, I guess your consciousness. Cause I personally believe like a soul is like infinite and then it's not stuck. Like your brain is what holds it. But when you pass away, it has to go somewhere. Because if it's an infinite thing, it can't just, stay.
Yeah.
I personally like, it's just like, I don't know exactly like I believe in heaven and everything, like man in faith, but I don't know exactly how that process is. Like, I don't know what you're going to see. I don't know what like you're going to feel like, especially like if you're stuck in like this type of, like I guess in a scientific, because I'm kind of a science geek when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to like mathematical dimensions and everything. Yeah. So like we live in like we live in like 3 or 4, right? Or 3, but we can kind of comprehend 4, but we can never literally see 1. So it's like when our brain gets out of that, because we live in like the 3-dimension space.
How do you comprehend 4?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I know it exists, but I don't know. Like, I just can't.
So
like
you can comprehend 4 as well as you can comprehend 5.
Exactly. It's just like, we know that it's something.
You can visualize. There's visuals of tesseracts.
Yeah, it's just but it's like it looks almost like an illusion, I think, to people. But it's like it's not an illusion. It's real. It's just our brain can't really comprehend it fully. Like what's going on. It's like a square within a square.
Yeah.
But like not because
infinitely in itself.
Yeah, because it goes against what our brain can fully comprehend. So it's just like when someone passes away, and if their soul leaves, right? If their soul is infinite, right, and it's not finite, if it leaves, it's just like. We leave that what we're stuck in, this what we can't comprehend maybe becomes comprehensible. So it's just like you're like, whoa. And when I think about that, I'm like, it makes my brain hurt too much to think about stuff like that.
There's this book called The Beginning of Infinity. I fucking love it. It's such a good book. But that's like the ultimate question when it comes towards trying to understand what's after, what's beyond, what is God, all this. I feel like it's trying to understand the beginning of the infinite. Where does infinity, a never-ending number with no beginning, no end, where does it start?
Exactly.
Who made God? Who starts infinity? Is there a lowest number of infinity? Is there a highest? You can always put -1, +1.
Yeah, I've heard like there's higher infinite numbers than there is other infinite numbers. I've heard like that's a mathematical thing. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
This is how it makes sense. 0.00000000000. You can always put more zeros in that point 0.
But I guess it technically still is an infinite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's infinite.
That's great. I've never heard of it that
small.
way. Yeah.
It's a small infinite, and then there's big infinite. So yeah, there's different sizes of infinity, which is crazy. And so infinity is that's the thing. That's like teaching a dog poetry.
Yeah.
Like, huh? Are you talking to me? Are we gonna go play?
Yeah, they can't comprehend it. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly.
Because it seems the infinite. That's like maybe what that fourth dimensional abstractness is, because this third dimension, we're on a linear timeline.
Exactly. So it's like, we're like,
so it feels we have a finite life. We don't have infinite life. We have finite consciousness, and we think of things as birth and death. There's a start, there's an ending. For us to really comprehend, even when we look into space and you think it's going to go forever, it's really hard to really comprehend. Sometimes I just look up at the sky and go, I'm looking at fucking infinity.
Same, dude.
It's fucking infinite.
Same. Like I've heard some people were like, well, technically time travel exists, but like from a viewing point, you can view time travel, but you can't travel through time yourself. And when I was thinking about that, somebody's like, well, if you see a star, it's burning, not just thousands, millions, billions of miles away or trillions, but it's also happening at a different time, like light years. The reason they say years, because it's literally like years, because it takes years for light for us to even see it. So it's like, if you see a star burning, which is a star, right? That's years ago, but we're just seeing it now, which is weird. So it's like, it's a weird way. It's like
that's not time travel, because that's just an illusion.
It's more like, I guess what I can say is like the closest thing we can fathom to time travel, because we can see it happening in the past as it's happening, but it's not like, but you said it's more like an illusion. Like it's like happening, but like not anymore. Because
they're still on your linear time.
Yeah, exactly.
They're existing at the same time as you. You're just not witnessing, and you don't have good connection, like instant connection to see what they're up to right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You will have to wait because we have really slow internet.
Exactly.
It's flying across the universe.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah, and but you can time travel to the future with black holes and gravity.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Do you know? Have you dove much into Einstein's theory of relativity?
I know that he basically discovered it, but I don't know a lot. It's E equals mc squared, correct?
Yeah. Do you understand how time can be more slow in a black hole? If you go in if you go in a black hole, you can experience the entire, if it's a big enough black hole where you survive the event horizon, you can experience the entire universe's life in an instant.
That is crazy.
Because time with gravity, I'm pulling this rope out. So let's say, have you seen like when they have like the trampoline and they drop a ball and then it swirls around, and they have like, if they put a big bowling ball in the middle and they throw marbles, that's how gravity works with its pull. And that is connected to space and time. That sheet is space time. And our little marbles are like our planets. And when there's a big ass thing like a sun sitting in the middle, the gravity's so strong, it causes orbits. You know what I'm saying? You following me? So if we put a grid on this trampoline before we ever put anything on it, and then we drop a bowling ball on it, it will stretch, because the thing of it like a trampoline, it sinks down and stretches the material because it's kind of bouncy. So what was this size originally, this was every square, which we'll say this is 1 year of space time. If you put a bowling ball in it and now the bowling ball stretches it down this way, it's a stretched fabric because the gravity is so heavy. Now that day is this long. You live here, you experience 1 day still. If you're in this gravitational field where the gravity is this strong. Now, you're living in a different timeline. I don't know if you're following me. It's so hard to explain relativity.
No, I get it.
So this is a regular year. Your year just got stretched to be this big now in your space-time field that you live in, because you're surrounded by heavy gravity. You're living you're going in a black hole.
Because you're in it, yeah.
So if you went in there and you lived a year, you experienced a full year, you lived it, whoop. At the end of the year, you come out of that gravitational pull on the regular time scale of the universe that wasn't being pulled by gravity. They were still experiencing years in this speed while you looked frozen as you were going through your year way slower from their perspective. But for you come out and now you've lived through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 10 years. You know what I mean? You come out and 10 years have passed for everybody else. 1 year only passed for you.
That is crazy.
Do you kind of follow how that works?
That's some like Interstellar stuff.
It literally is Interstellar.
Interstellar was sad, dude. When I saw that scene, I was like, no, I get it, but it's so sad.
And the shitty thing, with black holes, it goes to infinity. Black holes are infinite. There's why light doesn't escape. It's such a heavy gravity pull that it does divide by zero. There's a singularity where maybe space-time is ripped. We just can't comprehend it. There's a mystery of black holes. Where does everything go? It's so strong that it goes down to 0.000000000 and never touches. It never, it stretches this year to be infinite. It turns into an infinite number that stretches forever, and the year never ends. And it's a fucking error in our fucking universe. That's freaky shit because black holes exist out there, and I always relate it to hell. It's like the eternal darkness, dude.
Dude,
it's
that
like,
would suck.
Yeah, it would suck to fucking go in a black hole.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it just seems like literally like the worst thing in this fucking universe, and they float around there. We can't even see them. They can be the size of a pin drop and be a black hole that sucks a planet in. That's freaky shit.
Scary.
Those are our lions. That's the safari of the universe.
Yeah, and scary.
The fucking black holes are the lions out there prowling and eating everything that comes. If it touches you, you die. Maybe you die. Maybe you suffer in an eternal pit of infinite darkness where you have exponential gravity always pressing on your body and you can't die because time becomes infinite and now you're just...
Yeah, and then there's no seconds. It's just...
So maybe we have to escape this dimension because eventually all black holes will suck the whole universe in. Mm-hmm. Because it's like 12. I saw in this fucking science video. It was like 12 billion trillion fucking whatever. It's a time we can't comprehend. So far into the future where black holes, because black holes grow in size, but the more they suck in, which is weird. But eventually they're going to suck everything. They're going to suck there's a black hole in the middle of the Milky Way. And if that thing sucks, eventually it'll suck our solar system on the outskirts of the galaxy in. If eventually that will happen, then if everyone still exists in the 3 dimensions, you're going to end up in that black hole eventually, something, remnants of you. But if you ascend out of this dimension and you go to the 4th dimension where time is infinite and it's the opposite of a black hole, it's a light hole. You live in the light. Then maybe that's what heaven is. And maybe a black hole is what fucking hell is. I just think black holes is like hell.
That's cool. That sounds infinite darkness, eternal torture. Like that sounds awful.
That sounds like someone trying to explain.
Yeah.
Like it's just like eternity of a pit
of torture. Well,
and you're like, so a dude with horns.
Yeah.
And like, fire, right?
No, just like eternal pit. I mean, you might feel like you're burning because, your nerves are getting all like extended for infinite.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
That would hurt.
Yeah. No, the black holes, fuck them, dude. And sometimes I look at the sky at night and I get anxiety thinking about a black hole. I'm like, what if a black hole's on its way here? But there's nothing you can do. There's a lot of things to have anxiety about these days.
Oh yeah, no. Especially with with all like the wars going on and everything.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah, you're a war fighting age man. Is it hot in here? Are you starting to get hot? Is it
just a little warm, but
should I crack the window?
If you want,
let me crack the window. Wait, I bet you about the light. Oh, this is better. This light looks even better anyways.
It does look pretty nice.
Like if you look on the screen, we look beautiful now. We're glowing. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, dude. So can you play? Do you know how to play a flute?
No.
What can you play? What all can you play? I busted these out because
I play guitar. I trying to teach myself how to play piano. I can play the chords, like the same chords with both, but they have to be the same chords with both hands. I don't know how like the individual piano stuff works. But I mean, if it's like notes and then like one, like, like a power chord or something, and then individual notes, I can probably do that. I've done that a couple times. But it's just like reading the sheet music and like the different understanding. That's where I get like lost because I'm like, whoa. But piano's important.
Yeah, piano's great. I love the piano. I've been really into the saxophone lately. This which brings me to another Miyamoto Musashi quote. You just started reading the Book of Five Rings. Have you started or you're about to?
No, yeah, I'm about to.
Okay.
I have it sitting on my shelf.
Who motivated you to do that?
I was thinking about it, and I see Joe Rogan talking about it. I see different people talking about it, and then I see that it's just the character of Miyamoto Musashi is very famous, especially in like all of Japan. Like especially you're like almost like an urban legend, even though he was real. But it's like there's his own series, and then he's.
Oh, is he in Shogun?
I don't know if he's in Shogun. I don't know if Shogun takes place before or after him. It might be around the same time though. Oh. I'm not sure, but I know that he is a character in Baki the Grappler, right? Have you seen Baki the Grappler at all? Well, like
Baki,
yeah.
Isn't Baki a standalone series? That's Baki.
Yeah, it's an anime, and he's a character in it though. Like he comes back like Captain America style, like from Frozen or something.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Baki the Grappler, is that a spin-off or like a sequel?
Baki the Grappler? No, it's just like there's a Baki, and then there's Baki the Grappler, and then there's just Baki, and then.
But is it about Baki still?
Yeah, and it's all about Baki, except there's just different characters. Baki. And the thing I like about that show is that he's like definitely like one of the strongest, like third strongest. And even though the show's about him, it's still pretty much definitely clarifies that he's not ever going to be the strongest. Yeah. Like his
Musashi
dad
will be the strongest.
His dad at first was the strongest, but then Musashi and him fought, but just because of how of an effect Musashi has in that culture and how like they view him. He and Yujiro, his dad, who's like never lost a fight, they basically fought to a standstill.
Yujiro.
Yeah, his
which
dad.
is funny because the main villain in Musashi, the book I just showed you,
really
is Kojiro.
Really,
and that's his like number one villain, Kojiro Musashi. They're like the epic.
That's awesome. Yujiro, yeah, they fought to a standstill. It was awesome. And Musashi's like he's so OP that he can like use his fingers as like a sword and everything.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Like, yeah,
Does he lose?
Nope.
Good. No. The real Musashi is undefeated. Exactly. And so it's weird. How are you going to give, who's going to give Musashi his first loss if you're going to include him?
And it's like, and then like their Yujiro is basically like Superman in that universe who's never lost. So they're like, let's just have them fight to a standstill.
So one thing that's interesting about Musashi and you that you guys have similarities of, he was obviously a man of martial arts. You know, the first duel to the death at 13 and got 61 undefeated duels according to the lore. And he was an artist. He liked to draw, like simplistic art of nature. You'd go sit out in nature and draw things. There's actually paintings from Miyamoto Musashi. I really want to get one printed and hung up here somewhere. I have it blown up with AI resolution boosting. So now I'm going to get a nice painting, a nice Miyamoto Musashi print. But Musashi says this: to know 10,000 things, you must know one well. What do you think? What do you think he means by that?
To know 10,000 things, you must know one well.
The official, to know 10,000 things, know one well.
Yeah.
Know one well.
One thing well. From my perspective, being a person who has like a lot of different hobbies that have like nothing to do with each other, it's like you get an appreciation for different type of arts when you know one really well, and I think my first, I guess, thing that I got that I've known really well is probably like something like jujitsu or just like, athleticism. But I'm like, I know that and I can appreciate that, but there's so much art and work that goes into it, And then I started music around the same time when I started hardcore training. Like the first thing I ever started hardcore training at, like I Pee-wee wrestled, right? But boxing when I was 8 years old. And then that's where I met Jason when I was 8 and he had his own little boxing gym.
OG.
It was just called Southern Idaho Boxing. And it was like it was at this old place across from the gas station, and it was at the intersection of Filer. I mean, not on Filer. It's intersection of Locust and Kimberly Road.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it was, the old brick building, if you've ever seen that. That's where his boxing gym was. And that was the first time I ever learned like hardcore discipline. Like I loved wrestling, but boxing was just so different.
Really?
Especially because like Pee-wee wrestling, and we couldn't really afford to drive everywhere, and it's just it might have been harder. But and then the boxing place was right next to where we were, where we lived, and we just went there. Yeah.
Holy damn.
And that was my first introduction to like hard work, And it wasn't necessarily. I don't think it was more just like it was like. Back in the old days, boxing, you go to those gyms, you train, you do it. It's not necessarily like we're not gearing towards one group of people or another group of people. Just if you want to learn how to fight, come in, whether you're a kid, an old man, young guy, come learn how to fight. And that's what it was. And I think after that, I'm just like, wow, there's an art to like a lot of things. And around the same time, and when I was 8 also, I started learning guitar. So, and I think that was just really good for my young mind to see like different things in different sides of, arts.
Yeah.
Can like help each other, like learn, like if you just focus and you can commit the time, and it's just, you have to learn how to appreciate the art and what stuff sounds like. And it's not always going to be easy at first. Like with boxing, sloppy at first. I got beat up. One of the first people that beat me up was this girl who was like a undefeated, like Golden Gloves little girl. And she beat me up and I was like, that was awesome. And then when I went to, it was like at this church and they taught me for free. And it was Salvation Army, when Salvation Army was still a church. The guy who played, he was a really old dude that played always like old hymns on the guitar. So I never like vibed with the music or anything because they're old, right? I mean, I could respect it, but it's old and I didn't know any of them. But then I heard him, hey, watch this. And he starts like freaking like just shredding it on the acoustic guitar. And he's like amazing blues artist. And I was like, whoa. So it's like it humbled me, but it showed me like, whoa, there's like so many different things. If you just commit your time, you will become better. And it's like, even if not, enjoy it, And I think that enjoying that I enjoyed boxing and that I enjoyed, guitar, it just made my mind more open to trying a whole bunch of different things. Yeah. And like the way my mind sees it, if I enjoy it, just try it, It's what I like to draw, I like to sing now. I like, writing. I actually written a lot of stuff, but I need to fix it because I wanted to write. I eventually want to publish a book. Eventually.
Oh, writing, literature.
Yeah, like hardcore writing.
Oh, what kind of genre? What are you doing?
Anything that I like fantasy, and I like
Really?
not necessarily sci-fi as much. I do like sci-fi, but I wouldn't know where to start with that. But I like more fantasy, and I like anything a lot of stuff that I can relate to, like, you know, stuff with fighting or stuff with animals, you know.
So give me the premise of a story that you've been working on.
One of them that I started on, and this was more like fantasy, and this is more like just stuff that I thought was really cool. And I started writing this when I was like 17, and then when I got older and went back to it, like I kept writing it, would like take a break for like a month, go back to it, or take a break for even like a year, go back to it. And you could tell that the writing definitely matured, but you can tell that it started off as like just a teenage boy who just like vomited an idea onto a page. But it was like, the first one was like, do you know what cryptids are? Cryptozoology?
Oh, let me guess. Cryptid, something that lives underground.
It's like cryptic stuff. So like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster.
Oh,
and I don't,
hidden.
I don't necessarily believe in all of them, but I think it's just cool. It's like a cool like part of I think of American
lore,
culture or just world culture that everyone everywhere has these weird creatures that we've never seen. Bigfoot.
And they're primates.
Yeah. And then, or like, you know, Loch Ness Monster everywhere has like a lake monster. Yeah. Everywhere in the world has like stories of giants. Everywhere in the world has stories. Yeah, exactly. Everywhere in the world has stories of like werewolf type creatures, or everywhere in the world has stories of dragons. Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I want to write a book about that, except they're like a guy that like has like powers to like fight these things or whatever. Is like, it was kind of like, and I like at the time I was like super like obsessive of Superman, but I was more getting like intrigued by like, if someone actually did have Superman's powers, what would they do? Like, what would I do specifically? I'm like, well, first off, I'd go like, cause I can't die, like nothing could kill me. So I'd just go looking around, see if those creatures are real. Like what's going to happen? Like I could just speed around. And I was like, you know what? I might write a book about that, but it'd just be more of like a joke. And then I just wrote like 400, 500 pages. And I was like, and then after like reading a lot of it, I was like, this is, you can definitely tell a teenage guy wrote this, but
very Hercules-esque.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like a modern day Hercules almost, cause like you're going and finding those 12 labors and everything. But then in his case, he's going and finding around like, you know, see if Bigfoot's real, if Loch Ness monsters and everything. So
that's a fun idea. How old were you when you did that?
Like I was like 16 when I had the idea and started actually writing when I was 17. And I know because I started writing it and I was going to finish it. And I was going to correlate it with the time, but I never did because there was so much ideas that I had, but I started writing it on winter break of my senior year. And then the book was going to take place during winter break of this guy's senior year, just because I was like, this could be a good time frame so I could finish it. But then there was just so much more that I wanted to do. And then I was busy with wrestling and all that. So I didn't have the time, but
you have a lot of loves.
Yeah.
Figure out which one you have time to actually tend
exactly.
Yeah. That's great though, because it's weird actually. For me, I mean, I have a lot of loves as well. I mess with a lot of instruments, you know, and I like to go train fighting too. But I don't ever actually take it to the next level of a profession. My profession always kind of stays with cameras, you know, but you kind of stick your toes in the water of making everything a profession.
Yeah. I mean, if I can, or if I just go out and say something, I did it. At least I tried, you know, I did it. And then like, I know when I wanted to have an MMA fight, I think I had a bucket list that I wrote that me and my friends were sitting down in Dairy Queen. I was like, I think I want to have a bucket list of stuff that I can do. Cause we were about to graduate high school. I was like, I want to have a bucket list of stuff I want to do before I'm 25. And then when I get 25, by that point, I want to have more of an idea of what I want to do for a career. And then I can start having more bucket list ideas that I can do with that career in mind, you know? And that's pretty much what I've been doing these last couple of years. So
dude, those old projects and you look back on and it's like vomit ideas, like you said, the quality, you can tell, you're like, they're not as good as I could be now because I'm more mature. I know more things, but something about those old ideas feels so like pure creativity.
Yeah.
Like there's a purity, like there's a cool like you see where your creativity was then.
Yeah. Like this is what makes humans human. It's like, it's like art. It's the creativity.
It's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still fun to look back at what you made years ago. And even for me, at least, I'll look at old videos. I'm like a bit of cringe, but also a bit of like kind of happy that I did it.
Yeah.
You look back and you're like, look at me making shit back then.
Like if I didn't do this, then who knows what I would have been doing now. Yeah. Exactly.
And like you were saying about the arts and how if you just stick with it and get better, eventually, you know, like you were saying with your appreciation of the arts, to know 10,000 things is to know one thing to know 10,000, butchering it, but it's dedication, devotion, and really repetition to proper form, because that's like with the guitar, practicing getting it right, with boxing, practicing getting your punches right. And like you said, everyone's sloppy at first, but at some point, I fucking lost where I was going with. I talked too much. I rambled too much. I lost my.
I know. I do too.
The fucking alpha brain's supposed to be working. What the hell? But what were you saying? You were fucking just saying that you learned guitar from that guy. Oh fuck, I forgot it. Whatever. Yeah, so guitar's your baby?
Yeah, I love guitar. I think that
you're messing with piano now.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
How are you learning now? YouTube?
Yeah. Or I just pretty much what I did is I just kind of, I remember when I started messing around with the piano for like seriously for the first time, I was like, I think I called in sick that day of school, but I wasn't even sick. I just didn't want to go. I was just didn't want to go. So what I did is I was just like, you know what, no one's home today. I might just try to like transfer my knowledge of chords from guitar to piano. Cause I think my main thing as I've gotten older is singing, and that's what I've put in, what I've gotten taught most in. And like, you
got a nice voice.
Thank you. And I've like gotten taught most in, I've gotten like, I'll have most teachers in, I've had people actually help me. I've had to learn how to
really
read. Yeah. Like that's probably the most thing that I've had out of all the instruments. So it was more just like, if I can sing with this instrument, I just have to be able to like pitch myself to it. And then then I can do it. So what I was doing is I was learning songs that I like to sing with, but I was just transferring my chord knowledge from the guitar to piano. So I wouldn't like transpose it necessarily, but I would just like, okay, so this song, it was called Trainwreck by Rotterdam November. It was like an old, like angsty Christian band from when I was like 10. And I was like, okay, so it's an A minor, a C, an A minor, F major, G major. And then I was just like, okay. And then I would play and then I'd look up what the chords were, or like what the finger positioning was. And I'd play it one hand.
Oh my gosh. You're taking like the hard route.
Yeah. So when I'd play one hand, I'd start like playing individual notes that would correlate it with, and then I start playing individual with the other hand, and then I would just play it with both. But then I was just like, okay. And then after that, I was like, okay, that's that song. So then I just kept doing more and more and more songs. And then eventually I just memorized what the chords, at least in major, were for, what they were eventually, as much as I know. I don't know as many chords on the piano as I do guitar, but I know enough where I'm like, oh, I can play this song. Or like, I'm like, if this song is in the key of C, then maybe I can start on the chord of C and then mess around it from there and just experiment. I don't have a piano in my apartment now, so I haven't been able to practice so much, but I'm debating getting a keyboard because, keyboards are so cool. Like synth and everything. So.
Oh yeah. And like transpose.
Exactly.
It helps when you're
different instruments.
Want to transpose an instrument to a different key. It's great to have a keyboard around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you feel that with all these little, you got music, you got singing, you got, I guess that's part of music, fighting, you got literature, man of the arts. Do you think learning and developing those skills has made you appreciate things that you don't do that are skills? Does it give you a newfound view on other skills? I guess an approach to a foundation? How do you approach learning now? It must have shaped how you learn, how you approach learning things. How has all this shaped the way you approach learning a new skill? Mostly
just like, keep an open mind. Like learning in one thing is like, the way I see it is like, we're humans and we were like, gifted with the ability to learn different things. And it's just like, like even if you're not doing it for money, if you're good at it and somebody offers you a job or something like that, or like a gig, and I feel like blessed that people have even wanted to watch me fight or watch me play. But I'm just like, I'd say more just do it for yourself. If you enjoy it, just do it, like worst that can happen is that you just enjoy it, you get good at it and you're just by yourself doing it. But that the whole point is that you started doing it because you yourself like it. And I think that that's when anybody does anything like that, I'm like, wow, they really put all the time and effort, and everything like that. And when something's becomes more like a job, I think that's when it becomes more draining. Mm-hmm. But hey, if you like your job, then that's what I'm saying. If you like your job, like in instance, I'm assuming you love your jobs with the filming and everything. So it's
but it also requires constant perspective to remember that you love it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because when you do it when you do something to the point you want to be like the best, then you have to push yourself into the uncomfortable territory where the thing you love, you don't really want to do it every day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so that is what's weird if you love it, but you have to push, if you're trying to grow and like become better, there has to be friction. And then that has to become, I mean, the reward of learning is a satisfying part of it all, where you go, look how far I've come. But I think for me, like the day to days, and sometimes for me, I'm a man for sure who's like a sinful nature sure. I want to be a sloth. I want to be gluttonous. I want to just sit around, eat donuts and watch Game of Thrones with my girl. You know what I mean? I don't want to do things, but when there has to be work I have to do work. I have to do things. I have to call people. I have to send emails. I have to go set up shoots. I have to get myself on the ball rolling and making stuff. Like even right now we're making stuff, but that's what this is. This one is awesome because this one is fun. This one is so easy. It's like I can make a lot of clippable content out of this, like whole conversation. And like all we're doing is sitting here bullshitting.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I was just telling my friend Mark this. We worked out today, and afterwards he was talking about how he wants to get his, you know, his like brand of his identity out more, like start building on that. Because for me, I was a videographer for a long time, and I could tell people were treating me like a videographer. And I'm like, I don't want to be a fucking videographer. I want to be a filmmaker. I want to be a documentary filmmaker. And so I just started posting more just my documentary shit. I'll do commercial gigs still. I don't post about it really. I'll just take maybe a story sometimes so people see that I'm doing camera shit, because I just try to do marketing.
Yeah, keep your
marketing's important.
Promotion alive. Yeah,
yeah, it keeps you in the public sphere, in the mind's eye of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it just seems like a very important marketing thing these days. And documentary for me, at least, it's like this, but I have more silence when I ask you a question. So I'll be like, Cesar, what is the hardest part about fighting?
Yeah.
Then you give your answer, and I give spaces, and I clip that and make and put roll of you fighting people. It's literally this. And the more comfortable I can get people to, and better conversations I can pull out of them, then the better the documentary is. And this is sharpening my documentary game too, because this is getting me better at communicating with people.
Yeah.
Because I used to suck so bad. I still suck pretty bad.
I get it. Like communicating with people is like, especially when it's someone that you don't really know, but you have to like, you're trying to get that good material too. So you want them to feel comfortable and like talk to them. It's like, especially, and that's part of the reason why I became a police officer too, is because after working at going to be a police officer, because working at the hospital really gave me a heart for like talking to people, and even working in sales. Like I always say, working in retail or working in fast food, you'll definitely see how people will treat you in like the worst ways. They view you as like the bottom gutter, you know? And the only reason I say in working in fast food too is because a lot of my friends worked in fast food for just as long as I worked in retail. And
I worked at McDonald's.
Yeah. And they had the same horror stories that I did, just from people being just so disrespectful and rude, like treating you as if they're not, like you're not a person.
Yeah.
Just because you do an everyday job doesn't mean you're just like...
There's people with egos and pedestals they're standing on out there.
And like, so learning how to talk to people like that, especially like how to de-escalate a situation, and then working at the hospital when you have to, and there's not too much stories specifically I can give you because, you know, HIPAA and everything, but just seeing people at their worst moments and everything. Because as an internal transporter, you work in every department. So it's like, you get to see how like people at their worst moments are people that aren't in the right mindset, you know, or if it's kids, especially, which sucks, or parents of kids. Yeah. You just learn how to talk to them, especially, or if they're getting out of surgery or something like that. Very vulnerable moments. Or if they just found out stuff, you got to learn how to talk to them or just de-escalate a situation, or, you know, joke around, have them feel calm. And like, at one point I was starting to learn, like trying to learn how to say hi in at least different languages. My name is this, in different languages, just because I'm like, what if this is the last time these people are like living? Right? What if this is like, they don't come out of the hospital, right? Okay. It's like, and like, they're going to be around people that aren't even speaking the language that they understand. Oh, okay. Right. And then they might, I might feel like these people don't really care about me. I'm just a foreigner to them, you know, but I'm like, no, like you're a human to me, you know, regardless, like, you know, we live on the same earth. We're separated by borders, but we're connected by water, I think is a quote that I've heard from Jason Momoa.
Oh, really? I like that.
Yeah. And he's like, we're connected. Yeah. We may be separated by land, but we're connected by water, or something like that. Which is fitting for him because he's Aquaman, but I was just like, yeah. So like a lot of times I just had to learn how to say hi at least and everything. And I think that when you start learning how to have empathy for people more, and just, but like not necessarily like to the point where it's like you're letting yourself get like tormented or hurt by, you know, people that you don't know, but just learning how to talk to people. And I think that to be an officer, you know, especially if someone of the law that has a lot of power over people that people don't like, you really have to have that like mindset of, hey, like view this as a person rather than just another like number, you know? And I think that like communicating to people, like especially just even like, just like this, it's just good for the soul, I guess, good for the mind. Cause the way I see it too is like, cause my dad's super introverted. My mom's extroverted. My sister's introverted. I'm extroverted. But it's like, even those type of people, regardless of how we like it, we are designed to be social creatures. And like where the proof of that is that the way we speech, we actually have like vocal cords to talk to each other. It's not like
our tongues.
Yeah. It's not like, you know, it's not like barks or growls or like little clicks or anything. It's like a full on like language.
Intricate language.
Exactly. So it's like we we're social creatures, whether we like it or not. Are some people more social than others? Absolutely. But it's like, there's nothing wrong with like wanting to at least spend some time or be introverted with someone else in the room with you, even if you're not talking to them. If you're just both on your phone, people will enjoy the presence just because that's how we are designed to be.
Yeah.
And I think that like, you know, talking to people again is learning how to talk to people, and being like genuine about it is like the best skill I think possibly out of any talent or anything, is just learning how to just be around people, I guess.
I feel like you hit the nail on the head with the specific word genuine, because the authenticity is the most important part when you're, you know, trying to resonate with these people who are in vulnerable times. You could learn things, but there's like a human baseline where people can feel that someone's like really actually there with you. You know, when you guys are on the same vibe, resonance. I like to think of vibrations. Like, give me a note, sing me a note and hold it. Oh, can you give me a lower note, dude? No, medium. Ooh. Hold it. Ooh. And you know when that vibrating like tone, because you're both on the same wave and you hear that, woo, 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 woo. You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
That's called resonance for you people. And I feel like resonance is that power when you're on the same frequency. You know what I mean? You guys are vibing. That's the vibe. And it's like that spiritual resonance. I know spiritual is so like, you know, it's bullshit. It's immeasurable, but I think a lot of people can feel something special in humanity.
I think spiritual is a good way to describe it, though.
Yeah. And I was just telling my friend Mark, because he was talking about getting his, he wants to start forming his image and telling his story out there. He's like, I just want to start like telling my story. I'm having a hard time how to tell my story. And I was like, for me personally, I don't like talking to the camera. I don't want to be like, hey guys, welcome. Let me tell you a story. So I'm Jay.
It's same. I always feel awkward when I'm looking at a camera. I'm like, I can't feel genuine. Like,
it feels weird, disingenuous.
Yeah.
But like this, we can just like literally, this is what it is. Me and you just talking, getting on a resonance, being genuine, letting go. And then if we capture it, that's clippable. And it's capturing us being ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people struggle with being charismatic when it comes to like MMA, like interviews, especially an amateur, where like they're talking to each other and they're like, you just won. How do you feel about it? And they're like,
hungry.
Pretty much. And like they may be being genuine, but they just feel so like, especially because you just went to war. You just fought someone. If you didn't just tap them out or knock them out, you're like, yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, so
your head is shaking. You just got punched 30 times.
The way I saw it though is I knew a lot of family and friends and people that just like the sport in general. It was my dream, and the fact that people were willing to come watch and they cheered for me, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And like, I didn't do it for the people. I did it because I wanted to always do it. But the fact that I got that like genuine like reaction from people, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And I was talking when he asked me, I was genuinely talking to him and the audience, you know, saying thank you for watching and everything. And plus the crowd high is how I like to say it. The high you get from like, I can't even explain the adrenaline rush. Like, you know, Gordon, for the boxing coach, big bald guy.
I haven't like literally. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Me and that dude have never talked. We've never talked.
I call him Mr. Clean sometimes.
I give him a what's up.
Call him Mr. Clean because he looks like Mr. Clean.
Yeah, he does look like Mr. Clean.
But I was just like, he was saying that like he's had so many friends, like a lot of people that are like, yo, I've skydived, I've done this, I've done that, I've done crazy. I'm an adrenaline junkie, but nothing compares to the adrenaline high you get from walking into a cage or into a ring, and then after hearing all like thousands of people. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you can't let that distract you, but it's not like you can't just ignore it. So it's just like, yeah, it's all that combined, but it's like just talking to them is really sick. And I think that like when I looked at the camera, I was just like, I was like, oh yeah, there's a camera there. Like I completely forgot. Like,
snapped out of reality. You were living the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
and then it's like perform.
Yeah, exactly.
With your words.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just different.
And I know Dosam. You talked to Dosam a couple times. Yeah.
I'm so shitty with names with everyone there.
He's the guy that just had an MMA fight recently, like a week ago. He was like, when they gave him the mic, I was like, oh no, Dosam. Because I know that Dosam, he would be kind of nervous. So they handed him the mic. They're like, what do you think? And he was like, and he was genuine. He's like, thank my Lord and Savior. You know, he's like, I think this, I think that. He's like, I'm happy for my friends wherever you are. And then he's like, and I also want to. And he looks down. He's like, you want to think, never mind, it's fine. And then he walks off, and he told me later, I was trying to remember the name of the promotion, but I couldn't remember. He's like, but I couldn't remember. And I was trying looking down to see who was on the cage, but we were in the wrong side of the cage, and where it was, I couldn't read it. And by that point, I realized it was just too late. So I just Never mind.
Dude, during this podcast, I used to, when I was making this originally, like this is like in the 30s for my episodes now, so it's still really young. I'm planning to get to the thousands. That's my goal. That's so all these early ones, I'm like, these are the experimental grounds. I'm sorry that they're shitty. They're going to get better. So when shit happens, I like, it's easier to roll with when you put into your mind that you're in it for the long run. But in the early podcast, when I would fuck up or I would lose my thought like I did earlier, I would be like, what the fuck do I say? I would panic. My heart would drop a little bit as I felt some pressure of like, I needed to perform right now. Like there's a camera. You're like, oh, what do I say again? Yeah. But for me on this podcast, at least, I've like, who gives a fuck? Exactly. At least even the awkward moments people like to watch.
Yeah, it's funny. Funny. I see all those Joe Rogan highlights, dude. It's hilarious.
Well, I'll go like awkward moment compilations or something. Yeah, exactly. Are they out there where people are like,
exactly. They're like, yeah, like they just like lose focus and don't know what to say.
And it seems like you're a failure of speaking in the moment, but really, I feel like people, at least for me, it's funny to watch people go through that struggle. So it's still entertaining.
No, you're like, I hope it doesn't happen to me, but it's definitely funny to watch. Yeah, and I wouldn't. Yeah, in my mindset, I wouldn't blame someone for laughing at me because of it. Like it's fun. It is funny.
Yeah, and if you can, it's really, are you taking it super serious? Yeah, and if you can like go with that seriousness, I think when you fuck up in front of the camera, it's easier to let it roll. If you can be like, I think for me, I'll just start talking about what my brain is doing. If I'm fucking up, like, I just forgot. Gosh, this always happens. My brain, I'm trying to think, what was I thinking of? Like, you know what I mean? And then you know what I'm dealing with, and then you're like in on it. Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then it's not that big of a deal. About it, yeah, it's not like a big choking moment where it's like, stop the show. Yeah,
exactly. Actually, my first gig when I did Hip Hop Holiday, I was like 17, and I didn't know what to say because my guy he's like, just talk to them. And my fellow guitar player is named Jeremy Abbey. I think he's in a pretty like Boise famous band. I think it's called Raccoon Tour. I don't know if you've heard of them. And he plays like lead guitar, and the lead singer, the owner of the band, I'm gonna say basically the guy who started it, he's like a famous YouTuber, like a famous like animated YouTuber. I forget what his name is, but I've seen his channel before. But he was like, yo man, I'm gonna transpose this. I have to transpose it down a couple of octaves. I have to tune it down a couple of octaves. So just talk to them. And I didn't know what to say. And I was like, I'm talking and singing and talking. I literally said that, and they were laughing at how awkward I was being. But then after that, I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna talk. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But I just was.
That's what you say. Airports. I'm running airports. Oh.
Pretty much just stuff like that. But the second time, like years later, and I'm 22 years old at this point, I'm just like, hey guys, like I'm just talking to them.
Hey, so what's the name of that band? Let's listen to a song of them.
Raccoon Tour.
You play? So you were playing with them?
No, I just went to go watch my friend who played with me on some of the Hip Hop Holiday. He's in it.
Raccoon Tour on. Oh, it's because I'm not on the fucking internet. All right, sorry, 1 second. All right, now I'm on the internet. Raccoon Tour on Spotify, probably. This is cool. I really want to try this specifically because I'm connected to this fucking board with Bluetooth.
That's sick.
So now we're gonna just literally listen to it. I gotta fucking try it out. All right, tell me, Raccoon Tour, right? Is it this dude?
I believe so. Is their album covers like cartoon looking stuff?
Let's do this. Here, how about you show me if you know any songs? Give me a good song. Is this it?
Yeah, this is them.
All right, let's listen.
I think he plays rhythm or lead guitar. I'm not sure.
Your buddy?
Yeah.
Is he still on this band?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were going to not be together, but then some of the posts he's been showing that are recently, they're still together. So nice. Like, okay, I didn't even know a famous YouTuber lived in Boise.
What's a good band without good drama?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I haven't heard this.
Kind of folky, but also like a little
indie,
contemporary.
Yeah.
Definitely. Is that mandolin or something? What does that country ass guitar sound?
It sounds like mandolin.
You ever fuck with the mandolin?
I played one once, but I'm like not hardcore. I was just like, "Whoa, this is cool."
Lyrics, right?
I don't know. I've never heard this song. When I went and watched them, because I went to support my friend.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay. Some Overdrive?
They've had lyrics, but I've never heard.
This is their top song. Okay, we just went from folk to fucking rock.
Yeah, this sounds like them.
Genre mixing.
This is what I'm used to. That's
I was gonna say, you were thrown off by the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, what the? Screamo.
I never know they did. I've never heard them do this.
I just fucking catching you off guard.
Yeah,
You're like, I don't know any of this
is this
shit.
them? I'm like, it doesn't sound like them, but I think it was.
Dude, you played guitar on Joey Bravo's show?
I think so, yeah.
Because I saw his post when I looked you up. I saw it on the top that you're like there.
Yeah, and it was funny too because I woke up. Yeah, I woke up super late too, and like I wasn't even sure where to go, and I woke up 30 minutes before I had to be there. So I was like, oh crap, and my voice.
Oh my god.
So like I was like I put on like I connected my like whatever. I think I connected my phone to the radio, and I was just like okay, or to my car speaker. And on the way there, I was playing like warm ups to get my voice warm because I was like super. I was drinking so much water, trying to get my vocal cords awake, and even when I still sang, I was like, dude, you could still tell my voice is like not awake yet. I was like,
hey, what's your hypothesis on singing? I feel like there's people who just have like you can play a piano song me mo, mo, and you can match the note, but not everybody has a good sounding singing voice.
Yeah.
Do you think you have to be born with it or you can make it?
I think either or. Some people are born with it and then they craft it even more to the point where it sounds like, whoa, like you're never going to have anybody else sound like that. And I think someone like that was probably like Michael Jackson. He was born like as a kid, he had an amazing voice. And then even as an adult, it would change obviously. And I think a lot of it might've been damaged from singing so much as a kid, but it still sounded good. And because he crafted it and he knew exactly how to control his voice. Or someone like Bruno Mars already had a good voice. Super talented music writer and like producer. So he just boom crafted it. Or someone like Beyonce obviously had a good voice, crafted it. But I think that there's other people too that also they can get to that level. Probably not going to sound as beautiful, but they are going to be elite level singers because they worked on it so hard. Like, so I think that hard work can definitely, I think, what is it called? Hard work trumps all or something like that. It's like,
yeah, but I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know fully, but I think that I'm not going to say they would be as good as Michael Jackson, but I think they would
gives you a chance.
Exactly. I don't know if they would never be as good as Michael Jackson or Bruno Mars because those people are just born with it and they worked hard and they had the talent. But I think the people that do work hard can definitely get somewhere. They can, definitely serenade someone if they needed to, or they could definitely get maybe a job or something if they work hard on it. But it's just like the problem is like what are you? Are you a tenor? Are you if a girl, are you a soprano? Are you an alto? Are you a bass? Are you, a baritone? Stuff like that. And I think that if you don't know what that means necessarily, and this is how I know there's some people that are born with it because they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They just can sing. It's like a God-giving talent, and I think that's a lot of that is music. People that have really good ears.
Yeah, what's up with that? People with perfect pitch. Fuck those guys.
So crazy.
Why do they get to just play anything? Just like
exactly.
I heard that. All right, I know every chord, every melody.
When I was a kid, I was really good at playing stuff by ear, but I took a long year hiatus, 3-4 year hiatus.
I can play by ear. For a simple give me like a tune, like a melody. Give me a melody. But to know the whole left hand part and to know everything, it's like holy shit. How do you?
People that do that, that's like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart level of genius.
Yeah, you're right, dude. Wait, what was the second part? You said Amadeus.
Wolfgang Amadeus.
Is that his?
His full name. His full name. Amadeus Mozart.
Amadeus. You're a classical music fan?
Oh, I love classical music.
Oh, really? Who is it? Is this Wolfgang your favorite?
I don't know. I'd say genius wise, yeah, because I saw this video essay where people were comparing him and Michael Jackson. Not that they were on the same level of genius, but they were on the same level as they were both child prodigies, and that they ended up being both kind of messed up and maybe disliked even a little bit by the time of their death because they were both thrown into the spotlight and everything. And Amadeus was probably born way before child labor laws. Yeah,
so he had a lot of.
Yeah, I think what his dad would just make him perform in front of a whole bunch of kings blindfolded, according to his biopic and everything. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I'm pretty sure he would perform for kings and stuff blindfolded. And I'm probably, it doesn't take a genius if he would have messed up. I'm imagining that back then the laws were different. The culture was different. They might have smacked his fingers or something.
When was that? Do you know? Do you know what years those was?
I don't know. A long time ago though, that's for sure. Definitely before Beethoven, a good while.
So I'm going to guess 1600s.
Maybe. Yeah, I know. And I know he never made Wolfgang.
I always guess music too far back. Music is not not good. The shift where classical music geniuses start coming out isn't as old as I always go. Yeah. So Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, January 27th, 1756. Died at December 5th, 1791. Not even that long ago.
No, wow. Yeah, no, a lot of people didn't like him either. He was weird. Weird, especially for the time being, because and if you watch the movie, the biopic, and I'm not getting all this information just from the biopic, this is actually studying everything. Yeah. But he was a weird dude.
Wow, you are a little nerd. You're diving into Mozart.
Yeah, he wrote this song called "Lick My Ass," and it was the lyrics, and it sounds beautiful. They have children's choirs sing it nowadays in really hard religious schools because it sounds so beautiful. But it's talking about, and it was a song he wrote to his cousin who's a girl, which is already even weird. Why would you write if you're writing it to a dude cousin that you joke around with? But the fact that he took the time to write this to a childhood cousin who I'm assuming he didn't see too often. He wrote it in a letter, and it was basically just saying really descriptive, lick my ass, lick it clean. And this is how it happened. He's just basically just talking shit, and it's it sounds beautiful, and it's in Austrian or German.
What is the song called again? Wait, how do I find it? Let's play it.
Just look up the "Lick My Ass" Mozart song. No, seriously, it's a legit song, and you're holy shit. And people did not like him. They said he was annoying. He was stuck up, and it's just if you watch the movie too, another famous composer at the time called Cerelli was I felt so intimidated. Cerelli was genius too, but he's just I felt so intimidated by him. But when I finally saw him, he's that was Mozart. That scroveling, perverted thing, that was Mozart.
Oh, wait. Leck mich im Arsch.
Yes. It's legit. It's legit. But it sounds dude, you're whoa.
Okay, after this ad in 2, 1, unskippable. Oh, they hit me with a double whammy, but the second one's skippable. All right, 3, 2, 1. And here is Lick My Ass by Mozart. B flat, canon, and B flat for 6 voices in one.
The fact that he took the time.
Leck mich in Arsch, lass uns froh sein, morgen ist vergeben.
Top comment, you thought I was a pure innocent child. Finally, a song that isn't about sex, drugs, or licking buttholes.
No, this is legit, Nick. If you look up the translation, it's very obscene, descriptive of how he's...
No way, dude.
Yeah.
This is him writing to his cousin.
Yeah.
He wants her to lick his ass.
Something yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he was specifically talking to her, but he definitely wrote it for her, sent it to her.
I feel honestly I like when artistic geniuses are a little fucking unhinged.
Exactly. I think a lot of the most famous ones are.
I kind of like that Kanye's off his fucking...
Dude,
is a little crazy.
I pray for that guy. I'm always worried. I'm what? I'm because he seemed like he's doing good, and all of a sudden, I'll just see a week later, I'm what the hell what happened? You seemed like you were doing good, Kanye.
But his music is dope.
Exactly.
His music is free. I use his songs all the time in the Cheer documentaries. It's a fucking vibe.
Dude, I was actually just listening to the Daft Punk and Hymns collab, the Stronger, Better, or Better, Faster, Stronger.
Oh, really?
I was listening to that this morning. What was it called? It was just called, I think it was just called Stronger. And then it was in a movie that I saw that actually helped me get into MMA.
Never Back Down.
Never Back Down. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
When he's control the outcome. He's I always do. And then that song starts playing. And he's
that don't kill me.
And he's and then his mom's what are you doing?
Shows up to the fight.
Yeah, his mom's what are you doing? And he's I'm not going to lie to you about this. And she's looks down. She's I don't want you to. And he's walks out and the song keeps playing.
That movie was the shit. The Hummer scene when the guy gets out of the Hummer.
Oh yeah, and he beats the shit out of all of them. I remember I wanted to go watch it now as an actual fighter because I want to see it. No, yeah, it looks definitely hilarious. I'm not doing it, but it's just it's funny too. I'm who does MMA fights on normal mats in the tournament? Where there's no headgear or anything.
Yeah, that's something underground.
And then there was a DJ and everything, and it was the most weirdest looking thing. I remember.
Yeah. I honestly, I'd love to be some cool fights.
I would go. I don't know if I'd compete in it, but I'd go. I feel
there are fights like that.
There is
the street yard, backyard beefs and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were the one that got me into that group.
I sent you into the group. Yeah. Would you do a fight there? No. I could get you into a fight there.
I feel I'd get in trouble with USA Boxing and then as a license.
But fuck you, you're a cop now.
Yeah, that too.
Just go fucking fight some people. You would get probably a lot more views than that on those videos.
They'd be Super Cop versus...
Yeah! And you show up in uniform?
And I'm yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Have a Colby Covington personality.
No, you show up... I
could not bring myself to do that.
Yeah, show up as your superhero from your fucking fantasy story.
Yeah, exactly.
Little cape and shit.
Yeah, and just be
no capes.
What's up? I hunt Bigfoots. Just out of this world. world.
You do a little like intro, like, you know, like before, like Mortal Kombat scenes where you do like a little intro. You're just like, this is no cryptic to me. You don't stand a chance.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. It's funny you say that because actually my second fight, I walked out to Mortal Kombat's theme.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like dun 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 dun. And then I remember like I had people sitting in the crowd and Gordon was in there too. And people were like, dude, people lost their shit when they heard Mortal Kombat. And some people were telling me like, don't you think that'd be like a little basic? I'm like, no, I've never heard anybody play Mortal Kombat in any of the fights. I'm like, that is hilarious. I'm like, because like I walked out and it was just the light, like my corner was red. So then the whole like audience lit up into red. There's smoke everywhere. I'm like,
that's fitting for you too, dude.
Because you're Mortal Kombat.
You're such a like anime, nerd, like cartoon 90s dude, vibe. Yeah. But you're not even a 90s kid. No,
I'm older than by like a year. I was born. Well, really? Technically 21. 2 years because I was born December 31st, 2000.
Oh, 2000.
Yeah, so I'm older than 2001 by 1 day.
December 31st.
Yeah,
2000.
Exactly.
Whoa, dude, that is a rare birthday.
Exactly.
That's awesome. You barely snagged it.
As a kid, it kind of sucked because everyone had plans, so I never could have like a birthday party or anything. But like, I get it too. My cousins would come for a while, and even sometimes they wouldn't come.
That sucks.
But as I got older, it was lit.
Now your parties are like big parties.
Well, yeah, because
everyone's partying.
I have to be careful because people are like, "It's your birthday, really?" And they just handed me drinks. So I'm like, I can't. I don't want to get drunk. So yeah.
Yeah, you've only been drinking for a little bit.
Yeah.
Legally.
No, it's like, yeah, when you do police stuff too, they have to like do lie detector test on you. So they definitely know that I underage drank at some point when I was like 19.
I hate that though, dude. Yeah. I hate that they want all the cops to be goody two shoes. There got to be some cops that have been puffing weed in there.
Oh yeah, I don't think that will disqualify you necessarily.
I thought you couldn't have smoked ever.
I think it's more like you can't. It can't be over a certain amount of time. Like if you're like an addict or a big pothead, especially in a state where it's illegal, like it's like, dude, like no. But if it's like years ago and you were like a teenager and then you were a pothead when you were a teenager and then you just don't do it anymore and then you're just, most you do is like drink alcohol or smoke a cigarette. They don't give a fuck. But
smoke a cigarette, but what if you smoke a joint?
That they definitely would care. Because it's like it's illegal here, so
yeah, I know, really, and they want to. They want to keep it that.
I think it's strange because every state surrounding us isn't. So it almost feels like we're
stupid.
I always call this Idaho the Japan of the United States because we're super isolated. We'll have people come here and visit. We'll take their money, but we don't want to leave and we don't want people to come here. Basically, we don't want people to come here. Basically, it's like, and people come here. And people come here and they're like, wow, this place is beautiful. Not a lot of people. People are kind. Businesses are good. There's so many trails, so many different types. There's forests. There's desert. There's like forest deserts. The state's huge and there's not a lot of people and it's like it's affordable and like we're like and then people are like but we don't want you to stay here. Well, you can come visit, but we're like, and exactly like you said, we have honor. Like we want to do our farming. We want to keep our guns. We want to keep our crops.
That's what's fucked up. Exactly. All the fuckers that don't want pot here want unrestricted guns. And it's like, you believe in freedom. Bad apples. Let's not fucking worry about bad apples. That's my right. But we're talking about a plant that literally isn't even a modified plant. It's literally God put that plant here. It grows. It has so many uses. Hemp, it can be used for building, all paper, all this stuff. It makes you giggly and hungry, and that is like, you shouldn't have that. Put you in a cage.
I do find it very strange that like Idaho's like one of the last ones to have it illegal.
I feel like it is totally like, if we legalize it, all this druggy like Portland people are going to come here. Like that's like the thought.
Well, I remember whenever I walk to a state, whenever I visited a state where it is legal, I'm always like, because people are just smoking it willy nilly, like walking on the beach. Like I remember my parents, like they told me that they were on like a romantic, every now and then they'll go on a romantic getaway, and they went to Portland for a little bit, and they were all enjoying sitting on the beach, and then they just smell like a shit ton of weed. They're like, what the hell? And they turn over, there's this guy just smoking like a bag of weed next to them, and they were like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's crazy. That's literally our state that borders us. You can be fucking walking around. You're not supposed to walk around and smoke, but you can. No one's really gonna care. But here, you're gonna get thrown in a cage.
Yeah, I don't know what the laws or rules are in regards to states where it is legal, because I'm employed with a state where it is illegal. Yeah, but it is what it is. I don't treat anyone. I will never. You know me personally to the point where I would. Well,
you're just a good guy.
Different. Yeah. Well, thank you.
But some people, they like. I feel like there's like a, it's a bust. You got to bust a drug bust. It's like the mindset.
I think a lot of that goes to like culture too, and especially like Idaho, especially being What's it? Red and blue? Is it we're a red state, right?
Conservative, yeah.
Yeah, that's red. Okay, just making sure. I think that just comes down to like, I think of the theme from Dukes of Hazzard, just good old boys. They don't like stuff like that.
It's because of all the propaganda that got pumped into the minds of all the old generations.
I do find it weird that the old generation, like boomers, are the ones that kind of have issues with it when they were the ones that they were the children of the
hippies
of the boomers. I think they were the hippies.
Psychedelics.
They were the children
the
of
70s.
Exactly. They were the children of the 60s and 70s. They were the children of the silent generation, which is the generation that had to endure like World War II.
Yeah.
That they saw some of World War I. So it's weird. And I think that a lot of like generational problems or issues that come into the world affect what happened to the generation, happened because of the generation beforehand. Like what traumas, what struggles and hardship did the silent generation, did the boomers, did the Gen X, did the millennials, and I think and so on and so on. And there's always going to cause issues when how they raise them based off of how they were raised and so on and so on. Like I think a lot of the reason why boomers have trouble accepting new times and everything, and like trusting like they're, or just trying to get in people's business, because they might be afraid. They're like, well, like my parents didn't care about me. I was more like a pet who did jobs for them. So when I went off the deep end and they didn't care, I was like, well, I don't care. And they're like, I don't want my kids to deal with that. But then they were a little bit, I think that generation was a little bit too strict about stupid things to like the Gen X.
Oh, okay. So then they're hardened by that.
So they were kind of hardened by that. Yeah. So then they got strict, and then they were kind of assholes. Some, like not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them could have been assholes to like Gen X, which is like, would be our parents, right? People that are like in their like early 50s, mid 50s, 40s, late 40s and stuff. And then they were like, whoa, our parents were like hardened, but they also maybe some of them didn't really care, because again, they grew up in the 60s and 70s with LSD and like they were trying all the like the stuff. So then like, they're like my parents. And I think that Gen X kind of like had to endure a lot of it, because the boomer generation was just so different. Like some of them were so pro-Vietnam, some of them were so anti-Vietnam, some of them were super hardcore in the drugs, some of them still might be into drugs, and then some of them were like, oh, I never want to be into drugs again.
Well, that's where the actual war on drugs started, was with the anti-war protests in Vietnam, and the CIA did Operation MK Ultra.
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
Oh,
MK Ultra is crazy.
You've gone into it?
I've seen some of it. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. I'd have to like sit down and like have like a cup of coffee and just watch it.
Jimi Hendrix too. The reason I love Jimi Hendrix so much, besides his fucking amazing godly guitar skills, is there's a whole conspiracy there that he fucking got killed by the CIA because he was anti-war, and they found him at the hospital with a stomach full of wine, and his blood alcohol content was really low. So it was like someone drowned him in wine. When his girlfriend stepped out in the morning, she came back and he was on the bed dead with a funnel. And the theory is that someone stuffed a funnel down his throat and fucking drowned his ass with wine. But it gets deep. There's whole documentaries about it. You can go down the documentary rabbit hole about Jimi Hendrix. There's a lot of people. I mean, there's this book called Chaos by Tom O'Neill, and he's this investigative reporter who's just for 30 years diving into the Charles Manson murders, and it just boils down into the MK Ultra thing.
That is crazy.
Yeah, they were learning how to brainwash people, learning how to literally implant false memories into people's minds, and with LSD, overloads of LSD, hypnosis, and just they were experimenting.
Sleeper agents type stuff.
Yeah, kind of. But they would do it on insane people. Like the homeless people that weren't even aware of it, because they could write it off easy. When people say, why the fuck did that person like do this crazy horrendous?
They have mental issues.
Yeah, and people who go to brothels and bars and drunks and stuff, people that if they would say, oh, there was like, I didn't even remember doing that. A lot of them would say they don't even remember like what the hell even happened after.
Oh, you're unhinged. That's why.
He's unhinged. She's crazy.
And you're crazy. Yeah, they're crazy. That's why. It's nothing else.
Dude, I have a buddy who his grandma worked in the CIA in the 60s. Or 50s, late 50s, when it was like the air patrol. So it was like a Air Force thing originally, and then turned into the CIA. And she was stationed in Japan right after World War II for this, and got into the early CIA. And during MK Ultra was during the 50s and 60s. She came back to California, was working for the CIA. When she stopped working for the CIA, her husband died and they were low on money, and she opened up her room to renting out to people. And they had a woman come who was kind of off the street, and she bludgeoned like a lot of people in the house with a fucking with a sledgehammer.
Oh my gosh.
Sledgehammered everybody to death. That's my buddy's grandma. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, I just feel so iffy about the whole fact that she's connected to CIA during the time of MK Ultra.
That is crazy.
And that they were testing to see if they could get people to break their morality, to cross their moral boundaries by literally just getting them into these crazy trances of LSD. And hypnotizing. I mean, think about what you can get people to do. That's what people don't think about too much, is that we're so susceptible to hallucinating. We can hallucinate in so many situations. You wake up in the night and you go, I thought that shit was real. I thought something really happened, especially with sensory deprivation of sorts. It's so easy to hallucinate. And it's crazy that people can like, you know, give you a shit ton of LSD hypnosis. You can get people to believe that they're like, in my high school, they did this bad experiment where they had a bunch of kids come up, volunteer, and a person hypnotized them and then made them believe they got into a drunk driving car accident where someone died. And they were up, my friends from my class were up there and they were just crying their heads off,
screaming. Messed up, dude.
I know. I was like, you're just giving these kids PTSD. But then at the end, you're like, oh, now you're going to feel healed. You're going to have growth. There's going to be a learning experience. You're going to be okay. But I would think about that like, damn, you might be fucking with these kids' minds.
That's not good. Yeah.
And there are some philosophers who thought that hypnosis was evil because it messed with the soul. It messed with the free will. And that was like it's not good to mess with the human soul like that. Pretty interesting stuff, huh? Have you ever been hypnotized?
Nope.
Would you get hypnotized?
Probably not.
Not after that.
No, I don't want I just don't want my mind to be messed with because it's my mind, you know? It's like,
yeah, you only get one.
Exactly. You don't want that to be messed up.
Yeah.
Especially with like the job that I've tried to do. It's like, you know, it's like I'm going to have to see a lot of shit. And I've heard that like being a cop, you see things that no human should ever have to see. So you have to have like a good support system to fall onto.
Or I would honestly, for me, I send fucked up videos to my friends. I send up fucked up death videos to my friends.
I don't know if I've sent death videos to my friends, but I have like, cause I know that Instagram specifically, they don't have as much of a filter as other things. Like all everywhere. They have to say is he's fine. And then you can show people fucking like, as long as their head doesn't fall off or anything.
You even see, I guess that is a thing.
As long as their head or something, they're obviously not exploding or anything. As long as it just...
You see exploding ones.
If they land on like their head, or I haven't seen that.
I see war ones. Well, have you turned off your filter in the settings?
I don't think so.
So you get sensitive content?
I don't know.
There's a filter.
I've seen people break. I've seen people got hurt really bad though. Like I'm pretty sure I've seen some people die just from scrolling randomly, especially when it comes to MMA. Or like cop stuff, because I try liking just to like, you know, learn and see stuff. I've seen definitely some cops like shoot people when they have to, or like, you know, or
when they don't.
Yeah. Or even like, you know, some corrupt ones or something like people snapping their own shit or getting like slammed. Like there's this one guy that got slammed and he landed weird in his leg and his leg snapped this way.
Yeah.
So it was like his whole like just tibia just...
Yeah. So, but you were saying that nobody should see, and I was saying I send this to.
You're like, well, I send it to people like that all the time.
Well, I send it to people because, and I've had friends be like, "Why are you fucking? You're a psycho, dude. Why do you want?" But I'm like, you should know that this shit is real.
Yeah.
You're living in fucking Disneyland in your brain. You think that life is just sunshine and rainbows. Things are okay. There's no blood. There's no death. You should see there's people across the ocean chopping fuckers' heads off.
Oh yeah. A lot of the times, like when I'll send like people just getting really hurt to my friends. More it's because I just want to see their reaction, because it's just funny to see like, whoa, especially, but it won't be like people dying or anything on my part. It'll just be like more people, like a lot of the times it's people being like, I'll laugh, especially too, if it's people getting hurt or really injured due to their own stupidity.
Oh yeah,
like if
it's karma. It's like the movies. The person has to be a piece of shit before you kill him.
Like if someone's jumping, like this one guy, they were on like a cliff that looked like it was Niagara Falls height, and he jumped off. Like he was cliff jumping off of that. And I remember I showed Gordon. Gordon goes, what is he doing? What a stupid idiot. Like he literally, like you see him and you don't think it's as high as it is. And you just see and he looks like a good like 6'2", 6'3".
Maybe he lived?
215. I don't know.
There's a waterfall. It's like breaking the water.
You see him slowly turn into like a little dot. And you're like, dude, that is a lot higher than I thought. Like I wonder
what the waterfall breaking the water at the bottom would make it so you slip right through.
I feel like the slip right through would be fine, so it wouldn't be the surface or what's it called?
It would hit the rocks on the bottom.
The rocks that scare me, especially because it's pushing you forward. So even if you land perfectly, you could go forward and like hit your head on the back of a.
Yeah, are you a cliff jumper?
I've cliff jumped once, and then after like learning like all the people that have died, especially around here, it wasn't at the Hidden Lakes. It was actually like I think it was like Box Canyon or something like that, or I might have cliff jumped. I don't think
Box Canyon has cliff jumping.
I don't know. It might have been. I don't know. It was just somewhere where I was like, and I did it
probably down by Hagerman.
Yeah, I did it once.
Fall Hole.
It might have been. Yeah, I did it once, and I was like,
by the bridge, and you walk down.
And I just got an uneasy feeling, and I'm like, I'm not doing this again.
That's my territory. I'm from Buell. So all those Hagerman land cliff jumping spots are all my homeland. Where the fuck are you from?
Here,
Twin Falls.
Yeah, born
Canyon Ridge.
Yeah.
Your canon.
Well, it was Xavier at first.
Your Xavier boy explains all your artsiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Aren't Xavier people like artsy?
Well, it's a performance arts school, and I had nothing else to do. Like I loved being athletic, and I love academics, but all they had was running, and I actually got pretty good at running. Like I got a scholarship offer for running. Yeah.
What kind of running?
Long distance, like cross country.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, but
was that 3-5 miles? What?
For high school, for like middle school, it's like 1.5 miles, maybe barely 2. For high school, it's 3.1, 3.2. It's a 5K.
Oh, okay. 5K.
And then in college, it's like 10Ks.
Really?
Yeah, or like 12Ks.
So how were you? What was your 5K run time?
My fastest one was 17 minutes flat, which is
holy fuck, dude.
I felt like
it was you were fast. That's like under 6 each mile.
It was Lewiston. I think it was in Lewiston, Idaho when we did it. So it was all flat surface, and we had like a lot of because I think
what's your fastest mile?
5:20.
Oh
yeah, I got fast back then. Now it's like maybe like 6:30 or 6, like a whole minute faster.
You are speedy. You know about all those Mexicans because you're Mexican, full blood. You know about those indigenous Mexicans that run like barefoot. And shit?
The Taramarans.
Is that what they are?
Taramaras, yeah.
Are they from like Chihuahua or something?
Yeah, that's where my family's from. So we were wondering. We're like, are we related to them? And my grandma, I think she was like, maybe. She's like, because I know like she was just family members and that we're from that area where they're from. And my dad, he was 280 at the time, like weight wise, and it wasn't all muscle. Like he's a big boy. Yeah, and he in a controlled, and I was there.
Beer belly.
Yeah, and I was there, and I was controlled in a controlled environment, right? So it wasn't outside, but I was there timing it. We were at CSI. 14 laps is 1 mile. Okay. I was timing it. He did it in 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
No way.
Yeah, and he was like a U-Haul man. He was a freaking big guy, just. Wow. 8 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a
big boy
for his
going
size.
Fast.
And I remember like I timed it. And I was like 8 minutes 30. And he went.
That is insane. You didn't mess up the lap count.
Yeah, no, I
14
didn't.
laps is a lot to keep track of.
I was like, yeah.
Oh, you were tracking it.
Yeah, and there's like a little like stopwatch and it shows each time, and I counted them, and I was like,
wow. No wonder you were running 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's so I was like, dude, and then I was like, dude, I'm like, I wonder if we're like bred for this, dude. We could be related to them.
Yeah. But I'm sure you got some indigenous.
Yeah, that's where my grandma's from. Yeah, exactly. So running was definitely a passion, but all they had at Xavier was running. That's all. And it's actually kind of funny because they started a high school team with the thought that I was going to do it because it was only for middle school at the time.
Oh,
and I was in 8th grade, and they were like, hey, Cesar, would you be willing to? And I was already planning on leaving. I think it was my freshman year. They were going to start it after my freshman year because they were trying to get, I don't know, school board or whatever. And some lady goes up to me and she's like, I don't know if you know me, but I'm so-and-so's mom, and I'm one of the school board or whatever, and we're trying to start a cross-country team, and you're really good at it. Would you be interested? Like we want, basically we're only going to do this if you start it. And I was like, and at first part of me was like, well, that's awesome. Like it was like that you're doing it because of me. But then the second part of me was like, well, no, like you should do it because if kids want to do it, it shouldn't just be up to one person. I've never liked stuff like that ever. Yeah. I've never liked a favoritism, even if someone is like good at something. So I told them, I didn't even say, I was just like, yeah. I definitely do it. I didn't say I was going to. I just like, yeah, I would definitely do it. I'd definitely be interested. Yeah. So and then they started it and I left the next year. And so when I saw their team, I was like, I got you. It was hilarious.
Because you were at Canyon Ridge.
Yeah, by that point. You
competed against them.
Yeah, but I was like, I got you guys. Because I wanted them to have something. And all they had is like marathon running. Like they called it Ragnar. Where they would run like.
It's on Viking.
Yeah, like 12 miles and stuff. And I think it was named after Ragnar Lothbrok, but I'm not sure.
Is that a Viking?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was from, I think his existence is widely debated. He's almost like, it's like.
Mythical legend.
Yeah, it's like people say he's talked about enough, and I don't know. It's kind of like, and I don't want to say this because I do believe in Jesus, but it might be like he might be the Jesus of the Vikings as his existence might be as debated. I don't know if he has as much eyewitness testimony or people talking about him as much, but I know that people talked about him as if he was real.
Have you ever heard of the book The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross? John Marco Allegro.
I think I've heard the author's name, but I don't think I've heard of that specific.
John Marco Allegro is a linguist who was hired to decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls with the team.
Oh, dude, the Dead Sea Scrolls are so cool.
They're dope. Yeah, I've gone deep into the Qumran
old
findings.
Yeah.
And he has a very controversial opinion that he came out from deciphering the Dead Sea Scrolls about potential coded messages in the New Testament from what he thinks it might all mean. It's interesting stuff.
That's cool.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know. I try to keep
open
skeptical. I try to have healthy skepticism as much as possible and just be, good. But for me, good is, kind, not like making people suffer, having positivity and kindness in the forefront, which is hard for a guy like me because I'm that fucking little wild child. But now that I'm going into Carl Sagan's book, I'm listening to Carl Sagan's A Demon Haunted World. And that book, it's so good for opening my mind to how to be healthily skeptical. Because he really believes that science is the superpower of our species. We are like literally science. We need to like dive into science so we can.
It helps us understand the world.
It does, yeah, and it doesn't take anything away from divinity. If anything, it exposes it more. But there's kind of a trend amongst humanity a little bit where it's kind of like a doomsday vibe, where people don't want to really care, just kind of sit around and wait for the end.
Yeah,
and it halts progress.
Yeah, that's what I don't like that mindset people have. It's very unhealthy.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of comforting because if everything's gonna be fucked, then you don't have to take on responsibility for anything. You just sit around and wait.
I've heard of that point of view a lot, especially growing up at Xavier.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because I went.
Is it a religious school?
Not really. It was more. I think, and a lot of the reason I left is because, and I don't mean to people that genuinely enjoy it. That's awesome for them. I generally liked it, and I have people there that I'm still friends with that have become like family, and even some of the teachers that I still view them as like I'll never forget them. They affected my life in a positive way. But a lot of the reason why I left was because I felt like at the time it was just very like. The school wanted and I think a lot of it was because it wasn't that old of a school. Like my sister was the first graduating class from there in 2012. So it's like by the time I was like in middle school there, it was not long after. So it was just like, they were still trying to figure out how things would work. And I think I call our class the guinea pig class because they tried testing everything new when I was there. So it was just kind of like, well, the school presented itself as like they wanted the curriculum to be, let's say, pretty Republican or conservative, but a lot of the teachers or the students, they themselves were liberal, right? And I like to say that I'm more in the middle, and I like to let's say from a religious standpoint of view, I like to more let God dictate which way I should, lean.
Which I think that would probably put you, I would assume, in a more conservative mindset if people are stereotyping.
Yeah, I guess depending on, from the point of view.
From a stereotypical point of view.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. But so.
But you're an artsy motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, and a lot of it's like, and especially, being like a minority in a state like this, it's like, I definitely you try to stay as neutral as I can, because I definitely see how the negative effects of like conservatism can affect people like myself, or first generation, like my dad, who came here and his mom was illegal for a little bit. Now she's legal, but it's just,
the viewpoint that you disagree with is the views on immigration.
Yeah. I think when it comes to I think that we need to revamp and find out exactly why they're coming in and help them as to why they need to come in. And if they need to come in, let them in, but make sure find a way to make it easier for them, especially if they haven't done anything wrong.
But what about the statistic that America brings in the most refugees and immigrants than any other country in the world?
If that's true too, then that's fine too. I don't know.
It's true.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all of America.
If it's true, then that's fine too. I just think that something definitely, there's I don't know. It just seems like the house divided, almost. And I think we need to come to agreements in something. And going back to my point with Xavier, it seemed like the house is divided. Like they taught more conservative, but the people in there seemed to be more liberal. Yeah. And it was really, really right or really left. There was no in between, or maybe more right leaning on some things and more left leaning on some things, which is how I would describe myself in some situations. But it wasn't like that at the time. So it was just very and it seemed like a lot of it was very a Renaissance-y, so I was just I can't, the only way I can describe it, aristocrats, uptight. And I was just dude, I'm from the south side of this. I live next to South Park, man. I went to Oregon Trail.
The south side of Twin is the ghetto side.
Yeah, basically. And I'm like,
that's where they put all the refugees for
exactly.
Real.
My family's from the labor camp. My mom and my dad lived in the neighbor camp, and they dated each other, but they lived there. Mom on one side, my dad on the other side.
At the what?
Labor camp.
I don't know about this.
That's where all a lot of the refugees and a lot of the Mexicans or first generation people, Mexicans that moved here barely, they live there.
What?
And it's right across from Swenson's.
Okay.
And it's super old. It's super poor. It basically looks just
Oh, it's just a processing center for refugees?
I don't think so.
Labor camp sounds like Holocaust.
That's what they call it. It's literally called the labor camp.
But it's weird because you know about the Japanese internment camps?
Yeah, exactly. That's when I hear it. That's why I'm is that what it's called? And they're like, no, I'm dead ass. That's what it's called. I don't know if that's the slang that the people that live there called it because this living situation was shitty.
Well, it's the thing when you hear labor camps, or people would call the Japanese internments concentration camps. And when you hear those words, it brings back traumatizing memories of World War II. The Japanese internment camps were during World War II after the Japanese attacked Hawaii and bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and then everyone just turned on the Japanese that had nothing to do with them it.
Yeah. But I did a whole archival documentary on the Japanese internment camps in Minidoka, and went there and shot stuff and learned about it. And the one thing, I was in the mindset that it was really fucked up. Like, it was really fucked up. This is fucked up. Yeah. I almost like gas chamber vibe. Like, oh, this is really fucked up. But it was, the fucked up part really was that it put people's lives on hold. But for me, I can kind of empathize with the government's choice then, because World War II was highly dominated by intelligence. So much of determining if battles won and didn't win were who had the better intelligence.
Yeah.
And so when a whole nation, Japan, attacks you and you have Japanese people all over and you don't know who's a spy, if you get them all together, they had communities, they had stores, they had barbershops, people kept jobs and did it in the internment camps, but it was like a holding period until they figured everything out in the war. It wasn't like they were fucking beating people, but I'm sure there's fucked up people. I mean, there's fucked up cops still today. There's probably fucked up guards back then. People just are kind of shitty, but I don't think, I mean, it was war. We're in a pretty peaceful time right now. So looking back of how people were treated during a wartime when it was literally world domination, Japan wanted to fucking end us. They wanted to end, they were taking over people. They were chopping off people's heads in Philippines and China.
Exactly.
They were taking over. They were joining Hitler.
Yeah, that war specifically was crazy.
Battle of good and evil, hardcore.
War, yeah, exactly. It changed like the whole world in general. Like World War One, I think, was definitely in preparation for World War Two.
World War One was everyone just wanted to show what they could do.
Pretty much, and then World War Two just
evil consequences.
Oh my gosh, like, dude, like, think about it. I wonder if if Japan didn't lose the way they did, right? Would they have been the same? Would they have been the empire, the rising sun? Would they have been as hardcore as they were? Like, I firmly believe that, like, World War II is a big stepping stone for how their culture and their, like, society kind of changed a little bit.
I feel like the nuke bitch slapped them into Hello Kitty.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people say that, but I'm like, what? Like, seriously, like, are we forgetting how brutal they were? Like,
people in Asia hate Japanese people.
Yeah, like Koreans, Chinese.
Oh, yeah. I've been to Korea many times, and when I was there as a Marine once, I was like telling people I was stationed in Japan, and they were like, ugh. They were like disgusted. People get disgusted.
Yeah, it's the fact that, like, people, like, and then it's the fact that they don't teach. I've heard that they don't really, like, they say, yeah, we were in World War II. We kind of lost, but, you know, but they don't describe, like, they don't say everything that happened.
The reason they ended up resorting to the nuke, we got to the mainland. I mean, I'm a Marine, and the island hopping campaigns leading to the mainland from Iwo Jima, you know, Okinawa. Working for each island to work your way so we can get airfields close enough so you can bring people onto mainland, and they start fighting on mainland. But Japanese had such fucking honor. We will not. They would harikari, kill the samurais would kill themselves for if they dishonored.
Yeah,
that's like the mindset of the emperor at the time. He's sitting there fucking in I think it was Kyoto. And sitting there waiting, like refusing, we're gonna die. They were literally making people kamikaze. They would fill their airplanes up with enough fuel to only get there.
Yeah,
they would tell families in Okinawa, they would give families grenades so people could blow themselves up. There was a suicide cliff in Okinawa with a whole memorial there where villagers would go and they'd kill themselves, and the Americans would be saying, we are going to torture you, or we'll just come aboard, you can come like eat food on our ships and stuff. But the Japanese government was telling them they're going to rape you, torture you, they're monsters. It's better to kill yourself and your family by jumping off this cliff than being caught by an American.
Dude, that, like, again, that whole society, it's just crazy how much they changed compared, because now everyone, like, oh, I love their video games,
That's
I love
capitalism.
Their anime, I love their, you know, and it's like they're like, yeah, keep giving us money, we'll keep making stuff that's happy. Dude, even Godzilla, I love Godzilla, right?
Oh yeah,
even something that was a metaphor for the freaking destruction
nuke.
And nuke has become this super, you know, romanticized, almost heroic character. And it's just like, dude, everything changed. Yeah. Even the thing that was supposed to be talking about why they changed has changed.
Well, I think it's an influence of the entertainment industry that we have here in America, Hollywood, all that. We've been the top of the entertainment industry for a long time, like making films with the Lumiere brothers. I mean, I'm a film major, a bachelor's in film, so I know a lot of history about film. And I mean, we started revolutionizing this 2001: A Space Odyssey. That thing right there, that poster right there, made in the 60s. Dude, and that movie,
crazy.
You've seen it?
No, I've seen like practical effects and how it affected like just filmmaking in general.
You should watch 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I want to.
You should make it an event,
I think I will,
because it's like a ballet. It's really long play out, but it's so crazy to see what freaking Kubrick made. It's like, especially when you think this is in the 60s before they even went to the moon.
Exactly.
Before any went to the moon. But then we pretty much started putting bases on Japan. They started being influenced by our style of government, and next they are in the entertainment industry too, capitalism too, free market, and what blossoms out of that is a whole different style of entertainment, anime and other dramas.
Exactly.
So I mean, honestly, anime is the shit though.
It is.
The one thing about Japan that they do it right is brutality in the shows. That's what people look at anime and they think like cartoon. The animes, they go dark. You know what I mean? I feel like animes, they'll show real evil.
Exactly.
In anime.
Like there's not more like, oh, it's not just evil, it's misunderstood. Like they have some of that too, but it's like
death.
But there's like definitely like good and evil and like.
Well, it depends on the show, but there's a lot more like real death.
Exactly. It's like, dude, like with Attack on Titan, like even that, like that, all the death they handled in that, bro. Yeah. And after learning,
I haven't finished it. Don't give me a spoiler.
Where are you?
The final season.
Oh, I haven't even finished the final season.
Oh, okay, good.
I've learned some of the stuff, or Demon Slayer too. Like just the premise himself kind of sound out of this world, but the way they handled it with such seriousness and as if it were real, and I think that's probably why the new video game adaptations are doing a lot better than they used to be, because they used to just be like, I think the directors didn't even know what the video game was. They're like, oh, this is the premise, okay, and then they would just treat it like outlandish, not realistic. And I think a lot of like, did you ever hear like the video game adaptations for a while would just suck in general? Like I remember a lot of like they made a Mario Bros movie in the like 90s and it was just,
isn't that when there's like raptors?
Yeah,
isn't there dinosaur raptors?
yeah, it was weird, dude. And then there was like, I think they made a Prince of Egypt. There's a Far Cry movie. Yeah, there's a lot. Like, there's a lot of movies.
And they're pretty bad?
Yeah, they're not good. I mean,
when are live actions ever really that good?
Yeah, exactly.
Avatar: Last Airbender live action, you approve?
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Did you like Zuko? People love Zuko.
I liked it. I liked all of it. I didn't think it was like, oh my gosh, but it was definitely like a giant step above what we got from M. Night Shyamalan when we got in the
You ever see the original Dragon Ball with Goku?
Dude, that was actually my first view of Dragon Ball. Like I knew nothing.
No.
I just remember
the live action.
Yeah, I had a VHS copy of Star Kid. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. And one of the trailers was the Dragon Ball, was like the dub of Dragon Ball having the collection on VHS, and that's all I knew of Dragon Ball. Then when I actually saw the first actually me sitting down and watching it, exposed to it, was the live action one.
Ew.
And I was like, well, that was pretty cool. Is the anime like that? But I was just a little kid. When I watched it after I was a fan of Dragon Ball and I got older, I was like, what the hell was that?
Coke.
Like exactly. I felt like Simon Cowell. Like I felt like super judgy, like British, like, what was that?
Take it in the backyard and kill it. That's like, have you watched Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Do you have entrepreneur spirit in you? Do you feel like?
I think a little bit. Well, because like I was running the thing by myself and I was trying to make that my full-time job for a little bit. The jiu-jitsu thing.
Oh yeah.
And I've considered, and I also wanted to and this might come as a surprise to you out of all people, but I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was a kid. Yeah.
I'm not surprised because your personality, my personality of like the things we're interested in. I was wondering if you were ever interested.
I wanted to, and I remember I remember at one point I would bring this old camera that like they had SD cards, and it was for little kids. It was a camera made for kids that can't take some SD cards, but it freaking sucked. And I would take it to the summer day camp because my mom worked at this. I was homeschooled at this time, like all of elementary school. I was homeschooled, and so my interaction with other kids was during summertime. And my mom was like, she was like the head leader of, it was like a church summer camp basically. And then you'd go, it was just a day camp though. You'd go there and then you'd leave at the end of the day. And I remember getting all the kids and they let me go, cause I was my mom's kid and she didn't want to leave me by myself at home. Okay. And I remember at one point I like wrote a script or tried writing a script, and I would have my camera and I was directing the kids that wanted to be part of it. And I'd like make this little film about werewolves and vampires. And I remember I was trying to direct them of what I wanted them to do. And I was like full on like in director mode. And I was only like 9 or 10. It was hilarious. You
ever think about writing screenplays?
I've actually tried writing one right now. It was a sitcom just based off of like stories of me and my friends, because I thought like, dude, some of the stuff we do, we're a weird friend group, and some of the stories we have, they're funny as hell. I was like, I got to write this down at least somewhere, or at least have a quote book or something. So I started writing like a screenplay.
If you write a really good screenplay, I'll help you. I'll help you make it.
Dude, that would mean the world.
I got the shit.
Dude, like how much do these even cost?
Well, brand new, each camera's about 10 grand.
Damn, bro. Did you get them used?
I get them used.
How much?
eBay. I just recently bought That one on eBay for like $2,000. I bought this one from someone in Wyoming for $5,000.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
So you spent like $7,000.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I mean, this was my first time getting, that one was my first like big boy camera.
Yeah, I don't even know how to use them.
Yeah, you would if I showed you once. A camera's a camera. There's a record button, aperture. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I took photography class for a little bit in high school, so I was like, wow, there's a lot more to photography than I thought, but I wasn't really in it for the pictures. I mean, I love taking pictures, but I'm more in it for like the filming, you know?
What do you mean?
Like just like recording, not necessarily just a picture. Like I wanted to like record like, man, Eric and I have debated like doing like fight choreography. Like I've done fight choreography for some of the stage, for one of the stage plays I was in Hunchback of Notre Dame. I did the fight choreography for that show. I was listed as the fight choreographer, and I was also one of the actors. But
what'd you have him do?
Oh, I just had like, I'm like, what do you want? Like, do you want like, grimy? I'm like, do you want like grimy? Do you want like gory, or like something that would look like hardcore? Like, ooh, like you want the audience to feel every punch?
Did you have fight training?
To look cool.
By then?
Yeah.
Oh, so how did you determine how real it was going to be?
Well, I just asked them like, what do you want? Like, I'm like, do you want like?
But what do they know?
And they're like, well, we want like. I'm like, do you want it to look more like I guess I think I was like John Wick, or do you want more like stage fighting,
extra.
or like stage fighting that looks like it could actually hurt, the way they put work into it. And then I think it was like a mix of both. And like the leader, the guy that was going to be defending him, like he was a lot taller than all of us. He was like, I think he was taller than you. He was a big guy, but he wasn't like, he didn't look like he was a fighter, but he definitely could look like he could do some damage because he's big. So I was like, okay, we're going to use your size to your advantage, and it's going to be like a big guy just knocking around a whole bunch of people. So like what I did is like, basically some guy tried stabbing him with a sword, and I tried stabbing him with the sword at the same time, and then he dodged, grabbed one because he's big, so it makes sense that why he would be able to do this. And he grabbed one and basically like used the other guy's hand that had the sword in it, because his hand just engulfed the other guy's hand, and he used it to block my sword. And then he just basically swatted away, and then just like somebody grabbed on back into him, and he just slams him, and then he just basically just overpowers us, and eventually we overpower him because, you know, numbers. But it was just like, a lot of it, she was like, okay, is that all we're doing? And I was like, no, we still have like, I'm like, choreography takes a long time. Like fight choreography takes a long time, because we only had like, we needed like a good like minute of it. And we only had like, after like going over like maybe 5 minutes of what I wanted us to do, we only had like 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
So it takes a long time, because you have to like time it perfectly, and you don't want to accidentally hit someone. Really? You want to make it look good. And it's like, you have to count with beats. It's like music almost, you know, you have to count with beats. And I've heard that
it's like a dance.
And I've heard that Chris Evans actually really good at fight choreography, because he was a tap dancer, so he understands beats and everything. So like a lot of those Captain America? Yeah, a lot of those Captain America fight scenes, it was him doing it because he understood the timing and the beats because of his tap dancing and his ballet training. And he was light on his feet. Yeah. I always say this, a dancer will make a good fighter because they really light on their feet and they know like movement and everything.
Footwork is everything.
As long as they can like have the like durability to take a hit, I think that someone who's good at dancing, has good rhythm, is going to be really good at fighting.
That's how I judge someone's fight experience, is I just look at their feet and just watch them hit a bag.
Like if they're like clumsy and like,
are they crossing their legs? Are they doing good movement? Are they got like a good flow?
Or are they kind of like stiff? Like
and how they're feints. If they throw feints, I feel like feints is another level up. Like when you start learning to like trick people, make them bite about things. I'm gonna do it. Nope. Boom, now I did.
Yeah.
That's I feel like the next level.
But
Footwork. At first it's like learn how to properly punch.
Yeah, dude, I wanted to I wanted to do like fight choreography for a long time, and I'm like, dude, I just want to be a director. Like it'd be sick to like just direct like a movie and stuff.
Just a lot of things you want to do.
Oh yeah, dude.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I'll find time, and I set time away for just specific things. Like
which one are you gonna master? Is the real question.
Probably right now, my main goal is probably eventually get my black belt. But like, and that should be easy because that correlates with, you know, the work of me becoming a full-on sworn officer. So get the black belt sworn officer, I can do that at the same time.
They're on the same kind of path.
And then when it comes to like music and everything, the police were basically like, you can do part-time work. You just have to get it assigned. You just have to get it approved by the chief, and the chief's cool. So I don't think he'd have any problem with me just singing on the side and everything. Where I would sing, that's probably up to debate because of me being a sworn officer. Like if it's like at a bar that we've had like necessarily problems with, or a lot of people,
that's
like,
how you make peace.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. So I was like, maybe we'll see. I'm like, I'll just talk to both sides, see if the bartender's okay, if the bar was okay with it, and then if the police is okay with it, then, you know, that's how I make peace, because that's exactly where I was going to. That's like the point I was going to try to make. But
that's why I was kind of shitting on the whole like cops have to have these perfect record things, because then they don't get to feel the empathy for these criminal kids, because they weren't that criminal kid.
Yeah, it's like I was actually watching a movie like Flamin' Hot. Have you seen that Flamin' Hot movie? The guy that invented hot Cheetos or whatever, or came up with the idea. He was just like, yeah, if the world treats you like a criminal for long enough, that's what you'll become and everything. And I was like, well, yeah, but I think some of the best cops have had like trouble back in their past. Like, have you seen those, like, they look actually kind of cool. Like the guys with like gang tattoos and everything, and they're cops and everything.
That's in the Marine Corps. You see that.
It's sick, dude.
Post 9/11, they let everybody in. Gangsters, everybody. Really? I'd have staff sergeants just like fucking they were like gangsters. They had like 13 and stuff and full sleeves.
Yeah.
You can't have tattoos like that anymore in the Marine Corps because you go into the peacetime. But back then they needed soldiers. They needed Marines, and they're like, come in.
9/11.
Yeah.
9/11 was definitely like a game changer, I think, for sure, in our country at least. And I think, I would say the world at some point, because it kind of showed the world that if you do something like that to us, at least when we're all like,
we'll stay good
at a peaceful time, even the most unlikely people would probably unite. Like what you were saying, like gangsters going into like everyone was.
Yeah, everybody was united.
What's crazy about common enemy. Yeah, what's crazy about that too is I remember like I ask all my like anybody that's like old enough to remember. Like I was alive, but I'm not old enough to remember. Yeah. But I ask everyone, I'm like, what were you? Do you remember what you were doing and where you were? And they're like, yeah, I remember exactly what I was doing. Do you?
I don't really remember that well. I feel like I was in class.
Do you just remember like something like, oh, something happened? I was like, whoa.
I was born 93, so I was like 9, 8.
Oh, okay.
93, 7, 8.
So you might have just heard something's happened and you're like, okay.
I didn't really know very well. I just knew the adults were freaking out and you're just like,
like even my like grandpa, my, aunts, uncles, they're like, no, I knew exactly what I was doing. Like we were just, I was driving here, I was doing this, or I was in the back of the car, or I was doing this specifically. I remember what I was doing when the state came into lockdown.
What?
From COVID. Remember when we had a statewide lockdown? I remember exactly what I was doing. I was running to my friend. He actually lives over here, but I was running to my friend. I lived on the south side of town at the time. So I was running to my friend's house, and it was like a 6-mile run. And I was on my 4th mile. And then I get a text, and then I'm like, I look down, and it's just like, governor just called for a state lockdown. Everyone has to be locked in for at least a month or whatever. And I was like, oh shit. So I turn around and I start booking it back to my house. And I see people coming out of stores and like downtown area and everything. And they're all like, everyone's like, I could see everyone like the panic on their face. They're like, I don't want to be close to anyone. Like everyone's just like rushing home. And I was like, oh shit.
It did feel like it was like actual very serious.
Yeah. Like by that point I was like, oh dude, cause we were like one of the last like states to like do that.
And we probably were one of the ones that caught the COVID sooner too, because I remember it came into Seattle first because I was in Portland living in my van, and I was like tracking it when I first saw it come in China, and I saw it pop on the news. I was monitoring it, and I would post things about it, like sharing like, oh, look at, hey, COVID's now spread to another country. And then I was like, oh, hey, look at, there's 3 cases in Seattle. Oh shit, there's 5 in Portland.
I remember hearing about it for the first time. I was like 19 when I first heard about it. And I'm like, there's always people saying stuff's going to happen. Yeah. Like, and then when it actually happened, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that was some, I feel like some bullshit.
Yeah, dude, it wasn't, I don't think it was as bad as, but I do remember like the effects of it having it on the economy, on social, on people, and just the world in general. It was definitely.
It's so weird what you can get people to do when they're afraid.
Exactly. I was like, dude, this was crazy. Like, I remember when I got it, it wasn't that bad. And I know it's bad for some people. I'm not going to undermine that at all. But when I got it, it just felt like a weird cold.
Yeah.
Maybe like a mild flu. It wasn't anything like awful, but I did lose a little bit of taste.
And we're healthy people. That's why though. The difference between COVID and 9/11 though, is people were now afraid of their neighbors, angry at their neighbors. 9/11 people were like angry at some other person across the ocean.
Yeah.
And we're all banded together. Humans can get triggered too easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, what time we at here? Are we at fucking 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
What you got planned for the rest of your day, bro? What you gonna do? You gonna work out more?
I don't know.
How often do you work out?
Probably every day or every other day at least. I know a lot of the times when I do work out, it's like a hardcore workout, and especially with the fight camp coming up.
Yeah. So you are gonna do the fight?
I think so.
It sounds like it.
Thinking about it, I know it's. Well, the whole point is Brennan wants me to do one more and I trust him to this level. And the other pro, so it's not just him talking me up, and he's an honest dude. Like
to get 3 wins.
This is what I love about him. He'll be honest. If he doesn't think you're ready, he'll fall on tell you to your face. I don't think you're ready. But he full was like, I want you to, if you dominate at 55, because I fought at welterweight the last couple times, but if you dominate at lightweight, if you dominate one good fight, we're going to move to pro after,
Welter's 170?
Yeah. And I fought at 170. I think I have a heavier skeleton because I think my dad has it too. Because ever since we were young, we're heavier than we look. And we have a fair amount of muscle, but it's like people were like, you weigh 170? I thought you weighed like 150. I'm like, no, dude, I weigh 170. I like walk around at 178.
Yeah, you do look.
And I think it's like
lighter than you actually are. I think it's my
skeleton, because my dad had the same problem. And when he was in high school and he was wrestling, he weighed 160, but they all said that he looked like 140. And they're like, you weigh where? Like, you remember he said his coach was like, you weigh where? And then he got on the scale, and the coach was like, damn, you do weigh 160. So I think it's just some people have denser bones.
So you're going to drop down to lightweight?
Yeah, I think so. And then if I dominate at that, then I'd go to pro.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I want to and the way it's looking the way it's looking right now is I don't think I would be able to, if I don't fight at all, I won't be able, and I have to wait till I'm like a sworn, official, on my own police officer. I wouldn't fight till I'm 24. So I'd fight 22, wouldn't fight at all 23, and would have to wait till 24. And I know I'm not getting any younger, so I don't want to take a whole year break in my early 20s, because this is where you build up your, portfolio. So
and you got to think about someone who's just like you, who's just always focused though.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, dude, I could fight, I could fight a stud. I could fight someone who sucks, but even
or maybe someone more talented.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I got to put that work in. Like, I don't want to take a break if I don't have to.
Yeah, but you will always be training, at least, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And then even then, Brendan is like, even if you don't fight this year, we're going to train you to become even more of a beast than you are. So when you do fight, they're going to be scared.
Have you two developed like a fucking coach athlete?
Oh yeah, dude. Like, we were with each other all the time, man. All the time. Like, that was rough. I fought my first fight.
That was rough.
Yeah. My first fight, I fought with a fractured shin bone. And I never got it looked at, because I knew that if they did, they're like, you can't fight. They would pull me out. And I was already training for like 2 months by that point.
Look at you. See, with this,
it was bad. And then the second fight, I fought with a broken nose, because I got elbowed and it split right here. And then in the middle of even at the beginning of the first round or end of the first round, beginning of the second, my ankle sprained. Like, I literally felt the tendon, like I felt it pop. And then like I felt like something in between. Like, imagine this is the leg, this is the foot. Right there, I felt like just something was swollen. Like, I felt like there was a ball of something just stuck in there. And when one of my students, I haven't seen him in a while, but he was like he was a massage therapist. He was a sports therapy, something like that, recovery. And he's like, oh, dude, your tendon's like really swollen. He's like, you sprained it. Yeah, that's what it was. He was he's like, you sprained that pretty bad. And so and that was at the beginning of the fight. And this guy that weighed me like by a lot, and he was huge. He wasn't like, he was okay, but like, it wasn't like Kamaru Usman or anything, but he was definitely strong. So I basically had to fight him off of one leg, and I couldn't grapple at all because of it.
Was this your second dude?
My second dude.
That dude was jacked.
Yeah, and then the first dude,
he was angry too. Exactly. He looked angry all the time.
I saw him actually at the end.
You looked delighted. You looked kind of delighted.
I gave him a hug. I was like, "Hey man, good job!" And he was like thrown off. He's like, "No, fist bump." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, man. My coach just told me not to." "Oh, okay. Well, tell him I said F you." I was like, "Okay."
They're like, "We put money on that they wouldn't fist bump."
Well, no, because I was like, "No, I'm like, I'll respect Jason and Brendan's wish, and if they don't want me to."
Why'd they want you to not?
I think they were just worried because they've seen a lot of people, especially
getting
will they go like that, and that guy, he was big too, so it's not like he wasn't as fast as I was, but he definitely had more power than I had, because just look at him. So if
you guys said that during the fight,
if he kicked me, what
did you say? No, did he go no fist bump?
Yeah, no,
in the fight.
He literally went like, after we were done, I gave him a hug, and he's like, "No fist bump, motherfucker." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." I go, "Sorry, man." I go, "My coach just told me not to." "Oh, well, tell him I said fuck you." "I will." Like, I thought he was joking, and then him and Brendan almost got into it in the cage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was bad. And then we had to separate them.
Brendan is a feisty one.
Yeah, and then they all started booing him. Like, they all started, not Brendan, they started booing them.
Oh,
and then I ran into them at the bar. Yeah, I ran into them at the bar, and then I was like, "Yo, sorry how that ended." No. He's like, "No, I'm sorry, man." He's like, you were actually being really respectful and nice, and like, you were being kind. I was just getting mad, especially because, I lost. Well, he didn't say that. He's like, I just was getting upset and mad, and I just started getting mad at myself, and I was just getting mad. He's like, but I think the booing didn't help him, because like, they started booing him like hardcore when all he was doing was holding me against the fence and not doing anything. So I was like, and
he did just kind of just drape.
Yeah, my ankle was healing. My ankle was killing me, so I couldn't even out-grapple him.
And you wouldn't even let him to. You had a busted ankle, and he could not get the takedown.
Exactly. That's why I was like, no, I'm not going to the ground, because I can't move. Right. And when I did, I'd have to get up as quick as I could. Yeah. So my ankle was hurting me, so I was just hitting him as hard as I could. And I remember at this one moment in the fight, and his wife and I made eye contact. They were all booing him. Like, everyone's booing him. And then my Brendan's all yelling him, "Come on, fight, come on." And he's like, "You suck," or something. And then like, I turn around, and I make eye contact with his wife, and she's like, looks like so heartbroken for him.
Oh my God.
She's like we make eye contact for a second. I'm all holding him, and he's not, and everyone's booing him. So it's like, she probably is hurting for him.
Yeah.
And I look at her, and I keep and then like, when him and Brendan almost got in a fight, and then they kicked him out of the cage, They walked out, and then my past opponent, who was cornering him at the time, flipped Brendan off, and Brendan's losing his shit by this point. They're walking out. I'm just sitting there because I'm waiting for the interview. So I'm just sitting there like, and like the cameras are on me. I see myself, and I'm like, and then like I make eye contact with one of the judges, and they're like shaking their head in disapproval because of what just happened, and I just went. Like, I don't know what happened. And he was just like, he looked at me like, oh, are you looking at me? And then like, I'm just sitting there, and it's like a whole minute goes by. No one comes up to interview me. And I just look at the camera and I just go.
They had the camera on you?
Yeah. Like literally, like if you look like all the pro photos that they were taking, the photography person that was there, like they had like a whole team, like big, like the company that was there, they took the photos of everything. Like while they're trying to get mad at each other and try fighting each other. Like you see like they all like them hugging each other and then escalating and then like pushing, and you see me get in between.
Oh
like,
my gosh, really? Where do you see the photos?
It was on their website, but I didn't download all of the photos. I only downloaded the ones that I wanted, but I took a couple of screenshots of it, and then you just see Jason and I look like each other like, and then you just see me standing in the ring by myself in the corner of the octagon, in the middle of the octagon, just like it was awkward. Like it was just weird because like, and then I asked them like, "Are there's no interview?" They're like, "No." And then I was like, "Oh," so I like moved out of the octagon.
What the fuck?
And then everyone asked me that I was interacting with after the fight. What happened? And I was like, I don't know.
That's awesome, dude. That guy, obviously, the other fighter could tell that you're just a fucking light of a human. Dude.
I was like, dude, sorry about that. Like, I didn't have it. I don't know what happened. I'm like, and then I asked him, I go, what even happened?
I'm even surprised that you keep punching him in the face after you looked at his woman. I'm like, well, that's off character.
We were in the middle of a fight. Like, I couldn't do anything about it. And I was like...
You felt bad a little bit. Like, oh, okay, back to business.
And I just hammer fisting. I remember my knuckle started hurting from how much I was just bludgeoning him right here in the temple. And he wasn't moving. Like, he was just wincing every time. But he could take it. I'll give him this. He was tough. He could take it. He wasn't... I think that the tougher, like... technical fight was definitely the one that was cornering him the first time.
Oh yeah,
when I fought him, Cat Pantea.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was supposed to fight him Northern. I was supposed to fight him the first time, but he got hurt or something like that, like 2 weeks or weeks before, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. So, and then his coach, whatever, hopped in and was like, I'll do it. So that's what happened. And the thing is, I didn't throw a kick that whole fight because that's the fight where I fractured my shin bone. So if you watch...
And he's the kickboxer or the Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah, Muay Thai kickboxing. I think it was Muay kickboxing, but he had like a Muay Thai kind of stance. But if you watch, I don't throw a single kick the whole fight because I was worried if he checked it, that my tibia would snap. Ooh. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
He stuck to the takedowns a lot, that one.
That's why I was like, I'm going to take him down. Plus, he wasn't as heavy as Northern. Northern felt heavy.
That one you got unanimous, right?
Yeah.
And but the commentators, did you listen? They're like, split. They both had to fucking go.
Oh yeah, he's like, I think they were both 1-1. So I realized, and I was like, the first round I was writing him out the whole time.
That's how I felt.
He illegally kicked me. I don't know if they were. I know sometimes they're looking at their phone or something. But
who are these guys?
That might have been what happened because I was like, I wasn't offended. I was more just confused. I was like,
I think they don't know shit about wrestling.
Well, yeah. Well, it's weird because one of them was a UFC fighter. Like at the time, he was a UFC fighter, Vince Morales.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he wasn't ranked or anything, but he was like, he won like 50% of his fights.
What do you think the value of a takedown should be for UFC?
I think it should be, well, if they get you down and they get up right away, like if it's like literally like I tripped you or we both fell, I got on top and you get up like right away. If it's not even like a full second, it doesn't really count. That's just fighting.
Yeah, how do we judge this shit?
But if you take them down and you're holding them and they can't move and you're like in control, even if it is boring, I think that should be more counted to points rather than just 1 second.
Like control time.
Yeah, like control. Like, because if you watch Usman versus Covington, Covington took him down, but Usman stood up right away, and I wouldn't really count that.
But he did get control, like wrestling wise, behind him, control, exactly, knees on ground.
Yeah, and I think that. Yeah,
they didn't count that as a takedown in Usman's record.
Yeah, no, because he was just. I thought it was because it wasn't like a second. It was like a good 5 seconds that he had him down, like on his knees. But like again, I think it just depends on the judges too, because like if like the guy like Northern, when he took me down, the one time he did hold me down, I put him in a submission and he was more in danger than I was because I had him in a full on triangle and then I was wailing on his face. Yeah. So it's like, that's not really.
At the end, you had him at the end of the round.
The second round. Yeah. If it was pro, dude, I would have, by that point, I think I would have, he would have gone out or I would have knocked him out with my fists. But because I had him in a deep triangle, and worse, he wasn't covering. He was going like this. So I was just wailing right here. Because I think he was worried that I was reaching over. He was reaching over the leg because I think he was trying to defend from the triangle. And from a jiu-jitsu point of view, that's great. But from MMA, I still had a tight grip and I still had my fist like right here. So I remember he tried tucking because they told us you can't hit on the top of the head. So he tucked and I gently grabbed his head and moved it, and then I kept hitting him. And then if you watch, he gets up and he's all mad and he's like, and his face is all bloody and he like kind of stumbles off to his corner and he was pissed, and I just went, I was like, why are you getting mad? Like,
yeah, you seem delighted. Like I was saying, you seem delighted, and that kid seemed pissed the whole time. But maybe that's a tribute to the performance.
And nobody knew either too that my ankle was hurting as bad as it was. Like when I got to the hotel room and I went with my friends, they're like, dude, are you hurting that bad? I was like, yeah. And I took a combination of Tylenol and ibuprofen because they wanted to go clubbing and I couldn't even like.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my
Everything
ankle
started hurting.
And then when I got home, I looked down at my ankle. And it was swollen as hell. It looked like an apple in there. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this for a while. So, and now I want to do it again.
Yeah, now the craving is back. But you, at the beginning of this conversation, you were pretty unsure. And the more we talk, I feel like you're getting more sure.
Well, I really want to. Like the question isn't, do you want to or not? It's, do you think you should because of, said job? But at the same time,
you don't want to show up to training hurt, but you fucking fought with a broken nose. You fought with a busted ankle.
And
you can go
shin,
you can train with whatever shit happens.
Yeah. Well, they were also telling me the stipulation is if you're training with a gun or something and you have to pull it on you, it's your gun hand. What if you break your gun hand? And then Brendan tells me though, he goes, you barely got hurt in like welterweight. And if you go to amateur, I don't think you're going to get hurt.
And I think situational awareness, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, I'm going to like, and I mean, I get the thing, but I feel like the guy telling you that probably doesn't do shit in martial arts.
Yeah.
The guy telling you, what about your gun hand? If he was a martial arts practitioner, I feel like he would be a lot more positive.
The one who told me that actually does, but I don't think it was, I actually felt bad for him because I saw him both times. Like he was supposed to make his debut at Front Street Fights, but each time he cut weights, gets there, guy pulls out. His opponent would pull out. Yeah, he would cut weight, get there, weigh in, last second, both fights, guy pulled out. So I felt bad for him, but that wasn't his advice. He was just saying that the stipulation of what they'll tell you is that what if you hurt your gun hand?
Yeah, okay, that's what those people say. Yeah, but, I mean, whatever.
I mean, I get it, but I don't think I've ever. Hopefully, I don't jinx myself. I've never hurt my hands. I've hurt like my face. I've hurt my legs. I've hurt my arms, my shoulders, but it's never been like something that's like life changing. So
you punched a lot in your day.
Yeah, and I think that the most skilled fighter that I fought is probably Kat because he knew his shit. I felt like I was fighting fucking like Israel Adesanya in there, like a small one, because his kickboxing was so good, dude.
Yeah, he's getting those kicks.
And the only thing, I think what won me that fight wasn't even the grappling. I think what won me the fight was more of like I could grapple him. But what won me the fight was Jason's telling me when to go in and when to switch and when to not. Like he was telling me when to he was like, put that shtick on him. I don't know how I knew what he meant because Jason's never said those words to me when we were sparring before. But I knew he was like, oh, he means the right hand. Yeah. So when he'd say, put the shtick on him now. And then would it be a mid kick? Like, I don't know. He would just say, now, move now. And I was just listening. Then Brendan would then Brendan would say, go for a takedown. And then I'd go. So Brendan was there really to combine everything that I know. And then Jason was there for my hands. It was so good. Jason understands angles to the point where I can't even like he was helping Clay Collar train for his fight. So when people are like, yeah, but he's a boxing coach, like some of the MMA guys, I'm like, he understands angles though. Like his style is perfect for MMA. He likes to switch in north and southpaw. I mean, not north and south, orthodox and southpaw, north and southpaw. But yeah,
north and southpaw. I'm supposed to start calling orthodox northpaw.
I want to call it that. That sounds cool to me.
I fight northpaw.
Yeah, I fight northpaw. What? Orthodox. It's called northpaw.
Yeah,
he is really good at that. So,
and it blows my mind today. I barely found out that you have been there since you were 8. You are literally part of the family.
Well, yeah, I haven't trained with him since I was 8. We trained when I was 8 for like maybe a year, maybe 2, and then I left, and then right around when I left because we just couldn't stop going. I don't know if my dad could pay anymore. I don't know what happened. Yeah. But and then Jason, the gym just closed down. So by the time we wanted to do it again, he reopened it. I was already in wrestling. I went into grappling hardcore. Like I started judo, and then I got into wrestling, and then I did jiu-jitsu. So that was more of a grappler. And then I think I started going back when I was like 20, barely 20. And then that's just when he's like,
years ago.
Yeah. But it was like a lot of the stuff that it stuck with me. Like it was muscle memory, like jumping rope, double jumps. I could do those since I was 8 years old. And I knew how to jump rope like a boxer. I knew how to like punch. I knew certain punch combinations, like 1, 2, 3. I never forgot certain things, 4 or 5. I never forgot it. It was just some foot movement because of muscle memory that I got from wrestling where we had to like adjust it a little bit. But because of wrestling, you want to be more forward, and then jiu-jitsu, in boxing, you want to be more like, I guess, leaning on the back leg so you can punch and be more light from what Jason's style is anyway. So it was definitely like a learning curve, but it was something that like kind of just came back to me right away. Cause you know, like let's say if you haven't played guitar in a long time or piano in a long time, but you've just been doing it so long, you go back to it, you're like, oh,
you pick it up.
It's just like
the fundamentals. If the fundamentals are ingrained in you, just like riding a bike.
Exactly.
You learn how to do it.
Boxing was the first thing I think hardcore, and guitar were like the first thing hardcore that I like really had like struggles with, you know, wow, this is hard, but it's like something that I want to do. Boxing
is so great for the angles and learning the movement, but calf kicks are definitely the enemy.
I always say head movement's good, but not like full on like
slipping too hard.
Like if you slip or go under too hard, like if you do it, like if you learn how to do it just right, it can help you. Like Max Holloway, he knows how to do it just right.
But it's only if you can understand when the threat of a kick is actually a potential.
And if it's like, exactly. You put that, like that's perfect. Exactly what I was thinking. Because if you put like a boxer who doesn't know anything and they get kicked in the leg, the whole game change.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the boxers wanted to spar one of the MMA guys in MMA. And I was like, are you sure? I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, man, I wrestled a little bit in high school.
Oh,
and I was like,
you got some background.
I was like, okay, yeah. But like,
that's a mix of martial arts.
But the guy he was going against was like a person that's going to state that competed in Greco and freestyle.
Oh,
like
okay.
He knew his stuff. And this guy was just like wrestled a season versus someone who's a seasoned wrestler.
A one season wrestler isn't much.
Yeah. And so he went against him, and then he's like, yeah. And he was a more seasoned boxer. So he like standing, you know, super lined up like a boxer with the left foot in front. He just wails. He just does a full on hard. Bodod kicks him hard in the leg. Oh. And I'm like, hey, be nice. And then I see the look on his face. He's like,
never been kicked before.
Like he's like you could tell, like, dude, I'm like, dude, I would rather get kicked in the face than get kicked in the leg, because getting kicked in the it hurts so much worse. Getting kicked in the head, like worst comes to worst, you wake up and you're confused what happened.
And it throbs.
Right, but getting kicked in the leg, you feel all of it. You're not going to get knocked out from getting kicked in the leg. You're going to feel all of it.
You're going to crumple up and just sit there and go, fuck.
Yeah, and it feels like a muscle just tightens up and you can't walk right. Like it feels like someone ties a knot in your muscle. It's weird. And then they start wrestling, and then like Bodod is just messing with him, going like that, and then he just goes, I'm done, I can't. And I was like, okay. I warned you.
The problems with people who throw kicks though is they don't set up with the punches. If they don't set up with the punches,
you're gonna get checked.
Yeah, if you just throw a kick, someone comes with the punches win.
Exactly. I always say cover the kick with a punch, right? Or unless it's like a low calf kick or something. That's my thing, because then you can make that quick enough where they can't check, and if they do, it's not gonna
cover.
Hurt. Like boom, boom. Then I'm
like disguise it. Yeah, exactly. That's what they always set up being more.
Yeah, because there's so much of a distance between your foot and your head. So if you're trying to kick their head, and this is in minimum, if they're as tall as you have, if you do it from afar, they're gonna see that, you know, unless you're really good at switching your angles. But,
except for one kick.
Yeah.
Front kicks.
Oh yeah, I love front kicks.
Deeping people.
I love doing one where like you like switch it around, like you make it look like you're gonna go. It's kind of like
it's like a question mark, but down the middle. Boom.
Yeah. I've done that so many times. Like I'll go, like Brendan kept kicking me, so I just like went to kick him because he thought he went to go check, and then I whoop, and he was like, "Oh, you got me back."
Yeah, those ones are cool. Those ones are fun too.
And it was like, I've been sparring. I haven't sparred in a while just because my nose has been broken. Like I broke it a couple weeks ago, and I'm trying to wait the whole 6 years. You can't really tell. But a
good nose job.
I went to the doctor, and they're like, no, it's broken. Then they're trying to get me to go to ear, nose, and throat. But basically what Dr. Mays is going to tell me, which is the doctor who does all of these, he's like, if you're a boxer, you're a wrestler, do anything fighting, your nose is broken.
Are they saying broken or deviated septum?
I think they said broken. So like right here broke the first time, and then right here broke the second time. So it's like, and I think the septum was already deviated, but I think I broke it back in high school. Because I remember this one kid when I was wrestling from Chalice, he grabbed my head, I was behind him, and he was the varsity and I was JV, and we were doing wrestle off, so I think he kind of felt like he had something to prove. I think he was a freshman and I was a sophomore, so he wasn't used to it, but it was still their varsity team. And he grabbed my head and went, and like just nailed like back like part of his skull right here, right on my nose, and it was bruised for like weeks. And I think looking back, I'm like, I think I was broken. And then like, when the doctor looked at it, he's like, no, you definitely broke it. And I'm like, he's like, did you do anything like in regards to that? I'm like, well, I didn't box for a while. I was just wrestling. He's like, sometimes headbutts. And I was like, oh, that was that kid. And then boxing came, and I think Murad broke it once. And then, he just boom, and I broke it. And then it was like a hole in my face right here, like with Gaethje when he got kicked.
Yeah.
Same place, exact same place. And I felt Gaethje's pain. I was like, dude,
kick.
I was like, dude, that shit hurts. And then the second time I was just sparring with some guy that hadn't done MMA before. Well, he was seasoned in some of boxing, but mostly wrestling. And then his elbow was right here, and he didn't mean to, but he was trying to turn out to get in. His elbow went right into my center of my nose.
Spinning cracked it. Elbow.
Yeah, and this last time we were sparring with actual like sparring MMA gloves instead of the 16-ounce boxing gloves. and he went to punch, and I dodged, but this side of his knuckle went right here, and
of
like
his thumb.
Yeah, like, and it dodged. I dodged it, so he didn't get hit, but it like scraped and just cracked my nose that way. I went to the bathroom and it was like moved a little bit, so I cracked it back in, and then we kept sparring the rest of the night. It was really stupid of me. And then I went to the doctor after. They're like, yeah, it's broken. Oh, we're gonna refer you to ear, nose, and throats.
Well, it sounds like a type of life that you need to get used to.
That's what I'm saying. And I was like, I need to get better at my head movement or sparring tall guys, because tall guys are the ones that always crack me. Oh, sorry about that.
It's all good, dude. I'm gonna wrap this up anyways. Right, I know we've been here for a while. We were talking about how your Joey Bravo one was a long one. I know we've been here a while. Cesar, you are a fucking beacon of light to me. I am so happy that you're becoming a cop. I'm glad that the streets, I feel safe knowing that men like you are out there.
Superman, but a cop. Just kidding. Yeah.
I can't wait for your fantasy book to come out. I can't wait for your next hit song and your next fucking fight. You're a man of many talents.
Short film soon.
Short film. We're gonna do it together.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cesar Cervantes Jr. Everybody. Peace out.
Thank you.